Piers Morgan is a great friend of mine, and I think he writes brilliant.
Okay, got it. This this reset caused my headphones to take over as primary audio output or primary audio output and input, because it's a microphone headset, and it cut out the main microphone here. Yeah, wonderful, just wonderful. Everybody, again, thanks for your patience. You guys are great. I hope y'all don't think I'm some kind of fly-by-night operation here who just throws this together and tries to, talk for his own benefit. I really do this for you guys, and it is embarrassing when things don't go right, but y'all are the best. Thanks for hanging in there, and so blame it on Tess Holliday. Yes, Uncle Bobbity, you're the man. You're the man. Very good. I do blame Tess. I blame every fat acceptance person out there, actually. They're probably trying to hack me right now. I don't... What the hell. I may jinx things here, but I want my VPN on. Good, it's on. All right, great. VPN is set. All right, so if I don't remember, if I do remember properly, I had just read the positive review from Samantha that ended in 6 hearts, the Patriarchy. I love it too. Fatriarchy. I'm sorry, I went scatological there with Patriarchy. My mistake. Thank you, Uncle Bobby. So what I'd like to have you all put in the chat there is the last thing you heard. Picasso Knows got a hold of me and said she thinks I was just finishing up the positive review from Samantha there on the left of the page. So please let me know if you heard all of that, including the 6 hearts. And we'll go from there. Oh, as I was saying previously, you're going to hear fan noise because just in case it does get hot in here, like it likes to do, I have to keep the door closed to keep more house noise from getting in the place. I was just starting the negative one. Okay, great. That's great, guys. Thank you so much. Shows you're paying attention. So 100 cattle bucks to both of you. Let us go to the negative review, the 1-star review. Now here's one that I'm not going to read to you because it is extra long. It's almost teal deer in a sense. But you can see here, unsurprising, amateur, choppy, don't waste your money. A common thread on the negative reviews that I read was that the book just jumped around a whole bunch. It would start here, go to something else, almost in the middle of the first story, and then it would jump back to the original story later on. So the timeline was not cohesive at all. That was a very common complaint among all of the negative and not so positive reviews. But here's my favorite. By Miranda. She bought the hardcover version, so Miranda went whole hog on this. Pun intended. Painful to read, uninspiring, encourages self-destructive behavior. I tried to have an open mind with this book, but like the first negative review on this page, the writing comes off as choppy and inconsistent. There are redundant rehashes or previously stated facts about the aforementioned woman. It would have been easier to just say Tess, but to each his own. The advice, life tips, are terrible. Stay in school even if you struggle and do not eat your feelings. Tess quit school in the 11th grade, but she did ultimately get her GED. Most of the book's point of view presents itself as a negative and narcissistic victim, as complex as the author grabs every bad thing in life experience to garner sympathy from the reader. Just only talking about the negative does not seem inspiring, and I do not see how that would inspire others. The only messages I got from this book was, it's okay to harm yourself. What matters is getting the social media and public validation. If I could, I would give this book a negative star rating, but that is not possible. If you care about genuine self-love, self-improvement, and/or mental health, do not waste your time reading this. The only reason I didn't put this down was because I was so confused on how this was allowed to be published in its current form. Bravo. Bravo, Miranda. Obviously a book I'm not going to read. I don't want to put you guys through that. But there is a book out there that I am going to start reading in a week or so. If you read the comments and on some of the videos, you'll know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to announce it to the world just yet. But I am in the middle of another book at the moment that I do not want to stop reading, and I'll talk about it at the end of the stream. Oh, what book is this, Green Cat? This is the Tess Holliday autobiography and self-help book called The Not So Subtle Art of Being... let me go back. Let's just click on that. The Not So Subtle Art of Being a Fat Girl, Loving the Skin You're In. So I would check out the reviews on that. As you can see, 80 customer reviews, 4.5 stars. It's got 12 reviews on Amazon UK, with also the same breathless, oh my God, I love Tess so much, positive reviews, and the well thought out and well crafted negative reviews that are unfortunately in the minority. So, now Green Cat, I love your avatar there. That's a cute kitty. Kind of reminds me of mine, Lucy. That's a cute kitty. And thank you for coming to the stream, by the way. I really appreciate your attendance. I appreciate your coming and making yourself a part of the chat too. It's a great dialogue is always in there, and I'm sure you'll add to it in a very fine way. So let's test the author. Let's get into Tess, the human being. I know I do this a lot because honestly, it's easy. It's easy. So I go for the low-hanging fruit, but I am in fact going to go to Wikipedia. Yes. Now, this article is actually fairly neutral. It's not all gushing like these 5-star reviews for a book. So I think there's parts of it that are worth looking at. So let's start with early life. Holliday was born and raised in Laurel, Mississippi. Her mother left her father when Holliday was a young child, and Holliday claims her family moved 40 times before she turned 10. Oh, you're welcome, Green Cat. You're very welcome. In June 1995, her mother was paralyzed and disabled after she was shot twice in the head by her fiancé, who was charged with attempted murder. I'd like to know if he was convicted and if he's serving time. It seemed to be a fairly open and shut case, but who knows? Maybe he hired somebody. Anyway, that's the investigation discovering me coming out. At the age of 10, Holliday and her brother moved back to their grandparents' house in Mississippi while their mother recovered. Holliday was bullied from 5th grade on for her weight and pale skin, having a disabled mother, and because they lived in a trailer behind her grandparents' house. Yeah, that's a lot of toughness there. She left school at the age of 17 on the first day of 11th grade after receiving death threats and earned her GED. Did she report those death threats to the police? Holliday has also alleged verbal abuse about her size by her father, but has said that... Doesn't she mean... no, she does have her father. I thought she was going to say stepfather for a second. Alleged verbal abuse about her size by her father, but has said that she was supported and encouraged by her mother to become a model. Was that before or after the gunshots? Holliday has now severed contact with her father, whom she last spoke with in 2013. So, there you have a childhood that is absolutely a breeding ground for an eating disorder. Abuse, trauma, and no father. Absolute breeding ground for an eating disorder. And it's pretty obvious Tess has one. In fact, really, if you get down to it, and I've talked with several people about this, if you're obese, chances are you have an eating disorder. Very high chance of having an eating disorder. That's what got you there. You probably have an unhealthy relationship with food, especially comfort eating, stress eating. That is very common among the obese, very common. And it's a hard habit to break. I mean, look at Boogie, was it 2931, or just Boogie on YouTube, the game commentator and swag commentator. Funny guy funny guy. I hope he's still around. I haven't looked at his channel in a while. But he's immense. He's got to weigh over 600 pounds. He was supposed to be getting bariatric surgery after he showed that he could lose weight. But I stopped watching his channel shortly after that announcement, so I don't know what happened. 2930 maybe. Streaming is stalling. Buffering. Okay. What I'm going to do... Let's see if I reduce the size of the text, if that makes a difference. So there's not so much video overload. Seems to be holding together right now. Lacey Dax, binge eating disorder is what got me to obesity, actually, so I appreciate your sharing that information. Oh, you're very welcome, Lacey. You're very welcome. My wife is a stress eater, and she had a horrible job. She'd been with the company for over 24 years, and she went into a new position, and the very first person who walked up to her, shook her hand and said, "This place is toxic." Very first words out of his mouth. Looks like if I talk too fast, the stream... let me see if I can reduce the... let me see if I can find the bit rate here. No, I can't change it without... I can't change without stopping the stream. Okay, what I'll do is I'll stay like this for a little while, and y'all alert me if the stream starts to buffer again. If so, I'll pause it, stay where you're at. I'll just stop it for a brief second and change the output setting to a lower resolution, and then I'll come right back. So you shouldn't have to go anywhere. The stream will just start back up immediately, and you'll see where you were at. But just wave a flag if you see something. Throw up some all caps and some exclamation points to get my attention. Okay. So, at the age of 15, while she was a U.S. size 16 and 5'3", Holliday auditioned at a casting call for Plus models in Atlanta, Georgia, where she was told she would be lucky to do print advertisements or catalog work because she was too short and big. Now, one thing you'll notice here, catalog is spelt with a U. So this was either written by someone in Canada or the UK. Tess's book publisher is out of the UK. So I don't know if she has a big following there, or she just happened to farm this out to someone who lives up north of us. I couldn't say, but that is an obvious sign that this was not written by an American. Now, not a big deal. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. This could have been written in Swahili and then used Google Translator to bring it to the page. I'm just saying. Very good, Ray. Very good. Oh, my. Oh, my. She went to a cattle call. Perfect. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. So it says here that she moved to Seattle for a couple years. She did makeup, hairstyling, and was a creative director at fashion shows. Also a head makeup artist. She moved back to Mississippi and then moved to Los Angeles in 2010 after Hurricane Katrina. Let's see. So, this is the interesting part. She moved to Los Angeles and helped her gain confidence. While working as a receptionist at a Los Angeles dental office, she became a professional model. She responded to House of Dreams model search by Torrid and was accepted. At the same time, here's the part I'm really getting to. A&E, which used to stand for Arts and Entertainment and now stands for Cop Shows, chose her to be the face of a documentary television series, Heavy, after being discovered online. In June 2011, she became the face of the television show and was on an advert that ran nationwide and on billboards across the country. Lastly, their holiday has been featured on Fatchen blogs. Fatchen. I had never seen that word before, but now we all know. Fatchen. So what's this show Heavy? Heavy is an American documentary series that it says airs, but obviously this has not been updated because the show has been off air since April of 2011. A documentary series that airs on E&E. The series chronicles the weight loss efforts of people suffering from severe obesity. It ran for one season from January 17 to April 4, 2011. Okay, so here's the thing. She was the face of a series, a documentary about weight loss. She's never tried to lose weight, according to everything I've read. She's very happy with where she's at right now. In fact, we may get to this, so I may be spoiling something, but she weighs 120 pounds more than she did when she had her second baby. And she feels that put her over the top in her modeling career. Well, put her over the top of something. Quick overview here. Each 60-minute episode chronicled 6 months in the lives of two people who are facing life-threatening health consequences as a result of their obesity. They would go to a fitness camp, and then they would go home and have personal trainers to help them, but they could be called back to the camp if periodic weigh-ins revealed they are not making progress. Okay, let me read you one of these pieces. And again, this is about people who are who are dying from their weight and need to lose weight, and they come on this show. This is basically Biggest Loser on A&E. I don't remember when Biggest Loser came out, now that I think about it. Let's take a look. Let's take a quick look. Biggest Loser. (2004). So A&E stole the idea. Says here that it's run on at NBC for 17 seasons from 2004 to 2016. I have no idea if it is still on the air, nor do I care. It's a horrible show. It teaches people the wrong ways to lose weight, and more often than not, the people who win gain their weight back. If you want a prime example of that, look at Gary on my You Can't Ask That Fat video, one of the first videos I did on obesity. Gary is the guy in the polo shirt who actually knows that he has a problem with food and wants to change himself, but I don't think he has the self-respect to carry that through. Gary was the winner on Australia's Biggest Loser in one season, one episode, and he's now over 300 pounds again. And the guy's miserable, just miserable. So I have absolutely no sympathy for this show whatsoever. The things they put these people through are abominable. Let's go back. Okay, so let's look at episode 10. Mark Evans and Patty West. Now these are separate people. They're not couples. There's a man and a woman brought together for this show. Arrests and Epidemics. Lacey, very good. Very good. That's 200 cattle bucks to you. I love that. Yes, Jungle Cat Stevens, the one who gives good answers. That's the guy. His name's Gary. I don't remember his last name, but he is a really, really nice guy. I'd love to meet him someday and just sit down and talk with him. He seems like a lonely guy, and I think he could use people to talk to. Anyway, episode 10, Mark Evans and Patty West. Mark is a 39-year-old from Athens, Georgia, who is expecting his first child and wants to get in shape to run a half marathon. He began gaining weight while in the Army and received a medical discharge because of his size. That's fascinating. You can actually get out of the Army by overeating. Keep that in mind. He weighs in at 517 pounds with a body mass index of 70. We'll get into Tess's body mass index and her SBI later on. High blood pressure and high risk for diabetes, I would say so. Patty is a 59-year-old from Mesa, Arizona, who began gaining weight along with other members of her family when one of her sons died at the age of 23. A tragedy. And there you go again. A tragic event. My microphone keeps clipping. Turn it down a little more. Let me know if the microphone gets too soft. It looks like it's in a good range right now. An aside, speaking of microphones, y'all have probably noticed time and time again that my streams and my videos were a little soft. You had to turn up the volume in order to hear them. I've had some people say that they couldn't hear them at all, even if they cranked the volume all the way up, including one person who was hard of hearing. Turns out, I somehow had managed to hit a little switch on the back of the microphone that is flush with the microphone body. It doesn't stick out at all. You have to dig a fingernail in there to flip it. But somehow I had managed to turn on the negative 10 dB pad, which means I was cutting 10 decibels worth of audio out of the microphone every time I turned it on. So the microphone was 10 decibels too soft, or softer than it should have been. So even though I was cranking up the mix as far as I could go without clipping excessively, it was too soft. The microphone wasn't picking up as much as it could have. So I fixed it. Hagbard Celine, whose YouTube link will be in the description, made a comment on the last stream about that, and that got me to thinking that maybe something had been wrong this entire time, and I fixed it. Hoo-hoo. So anyway, son died at the age of 23. Ray, I heard Boogie's wife left him. That may be why he gained so much weight. He's lost a lot of money with that divorce. Well, he was married when I first started watching him a couple years ago. He was still married. The problem at the time was that he couldn't prove to his doctors that he could lose weight, and they wouldn't do the surgery until he could. I remember he was trying to start working on a diet. Lacey Deck's trauma is absolutely a reason why people develop eating disorders, but it can be a reason why someone develops a victim complex. Absolutely, Lacey, that's a very good point. And as you'll see later on, that victim complex narrative is writ large in Tess Holliday. We will get to that. Thank you so much for pointing that out. That's an excellent comment. So back to Patty. She needs a mobility scooter to get around and has difficulty playing with her grandchildren. She weighs in at 312.8 pounds with a body mass index of 65. Those are near-death BMIs. Now, the BMI isn't the greatest measure, of course. We all know that. But it's pretty much all we've got at the moment. So you do what you can. But she's almost 60. When you're that heavy, making it to 60 is an accomplishment. I didn't mean that, Lacey. It just happened. Yeah, Jungle Cat. He had a horrible childhood from everything I've heard from him. He said, I remember this quite distinctly, that one time his mother pushed him out of a moving car. I don't remember if they were pulling up to school or where they were going, but that is a quote from him. She pushed him out of a moving car. So I can't imagine how anyone would find any other way to combat that kind of stress than to eat, to feel better about yourself, to get that comfort from that fullness. And unfortunately, you learn to keep going and going because the fuller you are, the better you feel because of the endorphins that are released as your body tries to tell you to stop eating. At least that's the way I understand it. I could have the endorphin thing wrong. Feel free to correct me here or in the comments after the video. I'm trying to remember what Raven Sky taught me. And if you haven't watched that video, by the way, please do. It's called Raven Sky Takes Me to School. I learned a ton of I learned a ton, no pun intended, of information from that woman. And she did it almost completely without any kind of judgment on me whatsoever. There was one spot where she got into me, and I mentioned it in the video. Maybe I shouldn't have. You'd be the judge, but I learned a lot from her, and I hope someday that I'll be able to internalize it enough to where I can pass it on without having to shift gears from my old way of thinking. But please, Raven Sky Takes Me to School. Please watch that. During the 6-month program, Mark's daughter is born, and he misses his family greatly after a 12-day stay with them. 12 days while in the program. I wonder how he managed that, how he managed his exercise and food. During the 6-month program, I'm sorry, I read that already. Patty reunites with her oldest son after a 10-year separation. My God. At the final weigh-in, Mark reaches 357.4 pounds for a total weight loss of 159.6 pounds and successfully completes the Athens half marathon. He loses an additional 30 pounds and finishes another half marathon in the following months. That is incredible. That is incredible. I hope to God's green earth he can maintain that. Because remember, the series ended in 2011. So we have no idea where this guy is now. But I hope and pray he was able to keep that program going and get that weight down. But to, there goes the stream for a second. There we go. It looks like it really starts to hang up when I talk really fast. I'll try to watch that. But it doesn't seem like y'all are having too many buffering problems, so I'm not going to sweat dropping the resolution right now. I will for future videos, though. I promise. Maybe all I have to do is drop the audio resolution in Windows, and that'll knock it down. Because I have it at studio quality right now, so maybe that's a problem. But he finishes a half marathon and loses an additional 30 pounds. Rock and roll. Patty reaches 247 pounds for a total loss of 65.8. She struggles to maintain her weight loss, I can understand that, but can now play more with her grandchildren and walk with a cane rather than having to use the scooter. Okay, well, 247, I've been there. I was at 280, probably at least 280 before I started losing weight. And I was at 250 probably before that. Because I was stupid. But also, turned out my hormones were getting completely out of whack. My testosterone was dropping, so it's one of the other reasons I was gaining weight. I was eating to maintain some kind of energy level when it turned out my testosterone was shutting my metabolism down at the same time. So a vicious circle, or cycle if you like. Yeah, Green Cat, that is awesome. That is a real heartening success story. I like that word, heartening. I use it in my comment section quite often, probably more often than I should. But it is very uplifting. So that's Mark and Patty. And again, here you have people struggling with their weight and doing something about it, trying their very level best to get down to a weight where they can live longer, at the very least, live longer. At Patty being 247, she probably has a chance to make it to 65, maybe 70, without getting a serious illness. But 65 is probably the outside before diabetes, type 2 diabetes or heart disease would set in. But she did lose almost 66 pounds in 6 months. That's an achievement. I don't care who you are. That's an achievement. Maybe not as much as Mark, but still, she worked on it. So bravo to them. But again, they're working on losing the weight. They're trying to do better. And Tess Holliday, who is the face for this show and the ad campaign, she's not losing weight. She's gaining weight. So she wasn't even on the show. So false advertising times 10 right there. I won't read this whole thing, but as you can imagine, Tess is an activist, because I have not seen one fat acceptance / fat body embracer, body positivity, supporter and organizer who isn't a third-wave feminist, and therefore their activist levels are up there in the 90th percentile. Thank you, Ray. Yes, like that pound button, please. It helps populate. It helps keep the stream going in the YouTube algorithm, and lets YouTube know that I'm not sitting here talking to myself, which I would anyway. I put this thing together. I'm going to read it, hopefully without any more technical difficulties. But thank you, Ray. I appreciate your mentioning that. So activism. Holliday also self-describes as a body-positive activist. She embraces the word fat and advocates that people should be able to eat as much and whatever they want without suffering from social ostracism. And there you go. There's the fat acceptance movement in a nutshell. You have to accept me for me. You have to respect me for all the things that I do to myself, because I'm a person and I have the right to do this. That's fine. You do have the right to do that. I will not argue against that at all. If you want to eat a case of Cadbury eggs every day, like the black woman in my video from the UK titled Naked Obesity, that's one I just put up a couple weeks ago, or about 3 weeks ago, I think. Yeah, I can't stop you, but I'm not going to respect you for that. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you that you need to get your life together. You need to get help. You need to get therapy for your eating disorder. And you need to buckle down. But according to people like Tess, and of course my touchstone, Wild Whitney Thor, you can't say that. That's fat shaming. That's anti-body positivity. That's anti-fat acceptance, and that's not allowed. You have to respect them for what they are. And I think we all know that respect is gained through being earned. You do not just grab respect from someone. You have to earn it. And I'm not going to respect you if you walk around telling people that people should be able to eat as much and whatever they want without suffering from social ostracism. Look, society judges people on a myriad of data. They judge you by your smile. They judge you by your teeth. They judge you by how big your ears are. They judge you by what you wear on your head. So they're certainly going to judge you for your size. If you are too thin or too fat, society is going to say, you're not helping us. You are costing the tribe more than you are earning for the tribe, the more you are contributing for the tribe. You are a net loss because you're not able to get out there and work or hunt, gather, whatever. You're not going to be out there and do your job because you're sick all the time. You're draining the tribe of resources. That's how people judge you when it comes to your size. Be ready for that. And if you don't like it, do something about it. Don't demand respect. Demand yourself to get better, to get healthy, to eat right, to exercise, to love yourself as a better person, not as a person who loves their flaws. Loving yourself for your flaws is just as wrong as loving yourself for your positive attributes. You have to love yourself as a person who can grow. You have to love the person you can be. And we're all striving to be better people every day. We're all striving to make a positive contribution to our friends, family, and society. We all want to do that. I know I speak for everybody here. I know I do. Slow shaming. I like that old curmudgeon. Slow shaving. Very nice. And Uncle Bobbity, snacktivist, overeater, Otzi, and diabeter. Ooh, diabeter. I'll write that down. Diabeter. Uncle Bobbity. writ large and memorialized. Finishing up here. In 2013, Tess started her hashtag F Your Beauty Standards movement on Instagram, which we discussed a little bit ago. The movement shows women that they do not have to be a certain size to love their body, big or small, and that their size should not dictate their fashion choices. Since February 2015, Holliday has employed a team of 6 social media specialists to help manage her message across the world. She has said that the movement has led to women letting her know that they now feel good about how they look and wear what they like. She also talks at public events about body confidence. Talking about Tess and what people wear, and being confident about it, Tess never shows her belly. Always covered. My belly's covered right now. It's in a t-shirt. My belly's kind of big. Not really big, but I can grab it with both hands, one on each side, and give it a good tug. I need to lose some weight. I'm still working on it. But I'm working on it. Tess gained weight, and she's happier for it. She put on 120 pounds, and she's happier for it. So, yeah, six social media specialists. That means she's got people who run her Instagram account, run her Twitter account, run her Facebook, because she's so popular. And again, she's popular. I'm not going to throw shade on her for that. She's doing what she can do to get out there in the public eye. I have a problem with the fact that what she's doing to stay in the public eye is dangerous and hurts people. And we'll talk about that a little more. Well, enough about that. Tess got a job modeling for a particular, let me see if I can find it. She got a job modeling for a particular fashion line. All right, here it is. In March 2014, Holliday became the first model over size 18 to model Monique, forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, ladies, Monique Clark's clothing line after she was hired as the face of the latest campaign for her swimmer line, C by Monique C, a line that is specifically designed for women sizes 14 to 24. Okay, well, Tess is a 26 now. So, here's a picture of one of those swimsuits. Now, I can't tell for sure, but I don't think there's any water in that pool. And the reason I say that is, look at the ladder. There are no lines, there are no cuts in the line of the ladder. And when something is being filmed through water, if you're looking through the water at something with a straight line, that line will be broken because the diffraction coefficient of the water. The water will slow the light down, and so that object will appear differently than the object that is above the water, if it's a continuous line. Uncle Bobbity. All right, did I freeze? I'm still showing that I'm live. It must have been the buffering again. You know what? Let me do this right now. I think I can do this without screwing anything up. I'm going to go into sound settings here. She's retaining BS. I like that. I like that a lot. Let me see, device properties, advanced. Okay, I'm still there. Good. I dropped the audio quality down. Let me know if it sounds worse. And hopefully this will fix it. Like I said, I had the audio cranked all the way up, which I use for my videos, but perhaps it's a bit too much for my system going through OBS. Okay. Now, thank you for the comments, Lacey, Ray, and Juggle. I appreciate it. Good. So anyway, here's a pool with no water, and Tess wearing the Monique by the Sea swimmer line. And what's Tess doing? She's covering her stomach. Got her hand right there. There's the Miss Piggy tattoo. Now, look at all this makeup. This is a swimmer line, which means you're going to be on the beach. Ladies, let me ask you, flat out, do you wear that much makeup on the beach? I'm not judging. I don't care if you do. What I'm trying to do is get a baseline. How much makeup do you wear when you go swimming, when you go on the beach? In my mind, if you wore that much makeup, the sand would stick to your face. But I don't know anything about this stuff, so just please give me an idea so I can be a little smarter about what's going on here. Because right now, I'm all set to just make the living hell fun out of Tess for this outfit. But again, you tell me. That's very funny, Lacey. I'm sorry, I read the wrong comment. No, Green Cat. Yes, that is very funny. Well, Green Cat, the video will be up on YouTube once I finish the stream. It'll take about a half hour, an hour for it to load. And once it's up, it'll have all the description, all the links in the description, so you'll be able to follow each of the things that I touch upon, if you so desire later on, get the full context. A gallon per... Okay. Never, that's ridiculous. From Lacey, I don't wear any if I go swimming. Maybe waterproof mascara. Okay. All right. Old curmudgeon, yes, the old Archimedes concept there. The water displacement factor. Maybe that's what happened to the water. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so this is... And as Lacey Dex said, or excuse me, as Green Cat said, that swimsuit looks pretty bad. Now, I don't know enough to judge swimsuits. I couldn't say. I don't like the colors necessarily. I think it's too dark for swimwear. I think swimmers should be lighter in color, lighter in appearance. But that's me. That's me. Photoshop will get digital stretch marks trying to slim down Tess. We're going to talk about that, actually. We're going to talk about slimming Tess down. You're getting ahead of me, Uncle Bobbity. You're getting ahead of me. Here's one other pic of Tess. Massive makeup. She's wearing jewelry and shoes you would never wear to the beach. Obviously not in any water at all, because the camera is, quote, below the waterline, unquote. So there's no way you'd be able to shoot that without diffraction. In my opinion, that's not a bad looking suit. It's again, I like lighter colors on the beach, but if you want to wear black, wear black. But again, we've got a belly buster here. I'm sure there's a panel built into that fabric there that's slimming down that belly. So it can't be all that comfortable to wear. Can't be at all. But again, my opinion, I wear trunks, you know, and my belly hangs over the front of them. Oh, thank you, Green Cat. Yes, never that much makeup. And Green Cat, feel free to comment on the video once you've watched it. I really enjoy getting people's feedback on the thing. The interaction with the people who watch the videos is what makes me the happiest, actually. I get the most out of that. And I've had people comment on how much interaction there is on this channel, who like how much the people talk with each other in the comments. So please help keep that ratio up. So enough about Tess not in water. If you want to, I'm including the link in the description. Here are the rest of the suits in that Monif C line. C by Monif C, to get it correct. So feel free to shop for your size 14 to 22 gal who likes to go to the beach. Now see this one right here? This I like. This I like. I like the pattern, or the lack of pattern, if you will. The contrasting triangles and colors. I think that's very nice. And if I may, this is a plus size model right here. This is someone with the right amount of curves who I wouldn't mind seeing at the beach. as opposed to this. My opinion. My opinion. So, Uncle Bobbity, in pure hard bastard, thinking ahead of the curve fashion, noticed something about photoshopping. And right here, in August 2015, Holliday demanded a boycott of Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr accounts. So basically, she's trying to shut down almost all of social media. Why? Because under the name Project Harpoon, which photoshopped her image and images of other women, including Rebel Wilson and Melissa McCarthy, to make them appear slimmer without authorization. I did not know you needed someone's permission to take their photo off a public forum on the internet and Photoshop it. I thought that was called making a meme. But, so we were talking earlier about feelings of entitlement, feelings of victim complex. There you go. Someone photoshopped her image, and she went nuts. She's calling for a ban, a boycott, excuse me, of Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr accounts because they did something she didn't like. In September 2015, she criticized Victoria's Secret for their limited amount of plus-size clothing options. When I think 300 pounds, I don't think Teddy. Forgive me. If Victoria's Secret decides they want to get into that market, fine. If, however, a 300-pound model walks down the runway at a Victoria's Secret fashion show, and I may or may not be watching it on TV, maybe, not going to be happy. That's like seeing, can you imagine Tess in this picture on a Snap-on Tools calendar? Miss May? No. No. So screw the whole thing with Victoria's Secret. Sorry. And there, if you want to read it later, there's a controversy here about a T-shirt line that she started. It's this one right here, the F Your Beauty Standards. She tried selling them with an eye towards making donations to charity, and it was a complete disaster. She, according to the article, did not plan for the amount of orders that she got. A bunch of orders were paid for, but were never delivered. It was an absolute cluster F. So there you go. Project Harpoon. Yeah, you got it, Uncle Bobby. I didn't have to say it. You got it. There, where was I? So, let's talk about Cosmopolitan, because that's where this thing really got started, was her being on Cosmopolitan UK's cover. What is Cosmopolitan? Well, you've seen it, at least you used to see it, in all the magazine racks going into the grocery line, where you're standing there looking at the weekly world news and oh gosh, what's that other one? The one that Trump is supposedly in bed with. Oh shoot, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the National Enquirer. Ding, National Enquirer. So she's in on that. Or I should say Cosmo is in that area, except I believe Walmart and Target, certainly Walmart have stopped displaying Cosmo in their walk-in, their aisle to the checkout line, because they feel it's trash. And in my opinion, yeah, it's trash. And in a lot of women's opinion, it's trash too. And women is their market. Let's look at this cover here from May 2002. You guys can't read it from right. Let me see if I can blow it up a little bit. See if you can read it. There we go. Summer loving. Trace those tan lines. Try an outdoor shower. Dress in less. Work up an appetite. Rev your way out of a job rut. Okay, so far so good. Sexy swimsuits. Warning, dangerous when wet. I believe Sports Illustrated should have trademarked that line because if you've ever seen a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, dangerous when wet is probably used about 120 times per magazine. Special edition, special section, you plus food, no more guilt. A new relationship starts here. That should have been on Tess's cover. And here's something about the gal on the cover, Katrina Kaif, or Kaif, I don't know her. 100% inspiration, make your every wish come true. Yeah. Cosmo's Hot Weather Gyno Guide. I'm not going there. I'm not going there. How to tell if he's good in bed. There's always one sex article on the cover of Cosmo. Always at least one. How to tell if he's good in bed. Well, I think you would know after the first time. Or do you have to keep a scorecard like a baseball game? Okay, kisses good. He helped me undress. You know, he doesn't have a tattoo that says "Born to Ride" across his belly. I don't know. But that's typical Cosmo right there. How to tell he's good in bed. But that's not where Cosmo came from. That's not its roots. Often referred to as Cosmo, its contents as of 2011 include articles discussing relationships, sex, health, careers, self-improvement, celebrities, fashion, and beauty. It's published in 35 languages and distributed in more than 110 countries. But let's look right here real quickly. Cosmopolitan started out as a family magazine. A family magazine. Launched in 1886 by Schlicht and Field of New York as The Cosmopolitan. Now you can't read the cover here very well. It's extremely small type, but I'll try to give you a couple of pieces here. Frontispiece, A Beauty of the Empire, The Son of a Carpenter, The Hemlock, The Quadrilles at the Court of Napoleon I, The Navajo, Letters of an Alturian Traveler, The Teacher's College, Transcendence, a poem, The Passing of Spring, and lastly there, The Progress of Science. 15 cents. Fascinating. Fascinating. And Cosmo changed from there. They actually, at one time, had announced a free correspondence school. You could, free of charge, you could, all expenses for the present will be borne by the Cosmopolitan. No conditions except a pledge of given numbers of hours study. When 20,000 immediately signed up, Walker could not fund the school, and the students were then asked to contribute $20 a year. Also in 1897, H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds was serialized, as was his First Men in the Moon. Olive Schreiner contributed a lengthy two-part article about the Boer War in the September and October issues of 1900. So really heady stuff, big stuff. And in case you're not familiar, War of the Worlds, that was made into the radio program oh God. It's the radio program that caused a panic. It was broadcast in New Jersey. People thought it was real. Orson Welles, Mercury Radio Theater, broadcast that, and people panicked. People went out in the street with guns. One guy was ready to shoot his family to keep the aliens from taking over his house and not allow them to whatever his family. Yes, Orson Welles version. Thank you, Dunk Cat. Thank you. Almost didn't get it, but you were right there, so I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so, the First Men in the Moon, you might remember as, I believe that was made into the movie, the French movie, whose name I cannot pronounce. but it described the first moon launch. People were sent in a capsule from a very large cannon, and it actually stuck in the eye of the man on the moon. It's really, really nice piece of work. Just look up first Man on the Moon movie, something like that, and you'll get the title. I hope you can find it online because it's not long, and it's really very entertaining and quite fascinating. I don't remember how they got back though. That's always always something we need to know. So anyway, that is where Cosmo used to be. Here's Cosmo in July of 1976. It's now a full-fledged woman's magazine. Let's look at the articles here. I'll just read a couple of them. How married women can surprisingly improve their sex lives. What it's like to be a girl in the Army today. Fascinating and kind of alluring. Are you single in the 70s? Sex, diet, beauty, jobs, clothes, apartments, and everything else you need to know now. Not one thing here. This is the July 1976 magazine. $1.25 for the copy. What was July 1976, everybody? That was the bicentennial. America celebrates 200 years of independence, and they've got a swimsuit model on the cover, a very thin, not what I would not consider attractive model on the cover. That's where we used to be. Unfortunately, that was the body standard. I'm not saying it's an unobtainable body. I think that's a ridiculous statement because it's obviously attainable. Otherwise, she couldn't have done it. Now, back then, they did have some photo retouching available, but it was fairly obvious for the most part. I have a feeling this is pretty well unretouched. But she's not wearing an American flag bikini. She's not holding an American flag. The cover isn't red, white, and blue. What the hell, Cosmopolitan? It's the bicentennial. So anyway, coming along with Cosmo, we'll get to Tess's cover in a second. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do that right now. Let's find wrong key. Alt-tab, not Control-tab. Oh, it didn't come up. It was one of the pieces that didn't load when the camera went, or when the video went down. I will fix that immediately. Here is Tess Holliday in her magazine. So let me move this over a little bit. I want to do a comparison. Let's look at that versus this. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. So anyway, there you have your comparison. July 1976 on the left, October 2018 on the right. We have gone to polar opposites here. We have gone from achingly and probably unsustainably thin. I don't know what kind of diet that young woman on the left is on, but it's got to be very strict. And it would be hard to follow for a lot of people. And also, she obviously exercises quite a bit, too. She's very toned. So then on the right, we have Tess. All of her. Look at these tattoos. I can't tell who that is on her on her right arm. It almost looks like Farrah Fawcett. And there, of course, is Miss Piggy, upside down. Right side up if she sticks her arm out. I'm sorry. I'm editorializing on her tattoos. And over here, I don't know, it's just a hot mess. I have no idea what all this is supposed to mean on her left arm. But let's look at the articles in this newest Cosmo, which is 2 pounds. Again, this is the Cosmo UK cover. And 2 pounds is about, I think, $2.50, maybe $2.25, somewhere in there, US. So that's pretty cheap. The 76 was only $1.25. Maybe they've slimmed down the content. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's look at the articles here. Total Chic, the influencers of High Street edit. I'm sorry, not of, just the influencers High Street edit. No idea what that means. The Other Lover, why I vetted my wife's affair. Remember now, CNN has told us that cuckolding is good for your marriage. Watching your wife have sex with a stranger, hopefully a stranger, if it was one of your friends, wouldn't be a friend for long, is good for your marriage. And so here this guy took the time to vet his wife's lover. Why? What does he have to do with it? He couldn't stop her. They turned on me, the rape survivor, #MeToo disowned. Well, that's happening all over the place. You're either a survivor that they won't acknowledge, especially if you're a man, or it turns out you're a rapist. Asia, I'm looking at you. There's an Asia. And then you accuse your victim of being a rapist. Why you were paying your rapist $384,000 in installments until your husband died and then you reneged, I'll never know. But sure, me too, but not me. Is success an illness? The high flyers killing it at work. The male, model, and the nerd. Life with the UK's most eligible man. I have no idea who that is. And here at the bottom, let's see if we can... Damn it, I did it again. I am so sorry about that. I wanted to... Let me raise this up a little bit so you can see. It's covered. Tess Holliday wants the haters to kiss her ass. I can't imagine why Cosmo isn't on the aisle at the supermarket anymore. Probably at Tesco, though. Probably. I don't know. I don't know how classy Tesco is. I just know it's a big supermarket chain in the UK. Kind of the UK's Walmart. Yeah. A supermodel roars. Tess Holliday wants the haters to kiss her ass. That is a common phrase with Tess. A very common phrase. She is extremely passionate about people putting their lips to her enormous butt. Okay, enough of making you look at that. I apologize. Yeah, Johnny, CNN has gone totally weird. What was the other thing they did not too long ago? I think it was threesomes. I think that's it. They also said that threesomes were a really good idea. Thank you for that. Okay, so there's Cosmo. Now, I did a search for Tess Holliday on the Cosmopolitan page. I searched Tess Holliday. And I got 3,575 results. It took me 5 minutes to load all of the pages that are attached to this search result. And do you know how many times there's an article that has Tess Holliday in the actual title? Let's look. Tess Holliday. Now, the pages that are loaded right now, it says 2 of 2. Tess Holliday slams Photoshop app that slimmed down her body, and the search itself. For some reason, it included the search result in, or excuse me, the search term in the search results. But when I went down through the whole list of articles, all 3,575 articles, there were 31 Tess Hollidays in that entire list. So I don't know what Cosmo does with this search engine, but it is crap. And of those articles, I found at least 8 that were about Tess breastfeeding. How many articles about breastfeeding do you need about one person. She breastfed in public. She breastfed at a model show, at a runway show. Um, it just, and those were the two things that she did, but they repeated it another 4 times for each one. At least in the search I did. Maybe you'll get different results. That's what I found. And a couple of the others were basically telling people to kiss her butt. Thank you, Cosmopolitan. Here's one of those articles. What good sex really means to body-positive model Tess Holliday. Who cares? Who cares? But that's Cosmo. They're going to ask that of everybody they can get their hands on. What's good sex mean to you? None of your business is what it means to me. And here's Tess Holliday slams Photoshop app that slimmed down her body. The article the app that we had discussed earlier in the wiki page. And here is Tess slimmed down. And you know what? That's a hell of a job. I'm sorry for the focus. I can't do anything about that. I don't know why it isn't focused. But yeah, there you go. She looks a little like Nicole Kidman, actually, in that picture, to my opinion. I could be wrong. Oh, hey, Anita. Hey, again, yeah, I'm sorry about the time. Don't worry, though. I'm promising that I will be doing some of those 1 o'clock, those streams that are 3 hours earlier than this one, every so often. So I'm not going to cut you out of the loop completely. I promise. But yeah, there's a slim down Tess, and I'd whistle at that. So how did Tess react when she found out about her cover shot with Cosmo? She broke into tears. The 33-year-old model said in an interview that it meant a lot to land the October cover of Cosmopolitan UK. I broke into tears and said, "Are you kidding? I absolutely cried because a magazine like that has never put someone like me, like an actual fat body on the cover," she explained. Well, that's not true. Well, magazine like that. What does like that mean? Because she's been on the cover of People. So does a magazine like that mean one that asks you about your sex life? Because again, she's had 31 articles in Cosmo that I could find under her search results. So she gets there quite often. And it wasn't Cosmo, it was Cosmo UK. Much more limited release, although I'm sure they sold a lot of overseas copies. Oh, yes, absolutely, Ray. That was never her. Is it buffering, Lacey? I saw that just a second ago. I turned it is. I'm sure it's the output for the live stream that's doing that. I should turn it down. But it's you guys haven't given me a lot of comments about buffering, so I'm not going to stop the stream to fix it unless you feel that's absolutely necessary. Please put it in the chat if you think so. I will do that if it's necessary. I'm just hoping that it's not. If we've already had one delay, I'd hate to put you through another one. Okay, thank you, Lacey. I'm glad. Thank you. It not only meant a lot to me, but the work that I'm doing, which will therefore impact millions of bodies that look like mine. Well, that's my problem with you right there. Your impact on people who need to get healthy, not to be happy that they look like you. Cosmo said in the cover story, she's at the heaviest she's ever been. I was a US size 16 to 18 my entire life before I had my son Riley, the star said. I look back on those photos now and I don't wish I was that size, but what I wish is that I loved myself 120 pounds ago. It took me being the heaviest to finally love myself. What in the hell? What does that even mean? I wish that I loved myself 120 pounds ago. Does that mean you wouldn't have gained that weight after you had Riley? Or does it just mean that you wish you hadn't wasted eating through 120 pounds without knowing that you were loving yourself the entire time? Would you have to re-love yourself after every 10 pounds gained? I wonder. It took me being the heaviest to finally love myself, as I said before. That is insane. How could you possibly congratulate yourself on gaining 120 pounds over when you were at 160 at 5'5"? And again, she says she's 280, 286. I'm not buying it. I think I did a previous article where we discussed how people who are obese, or even more obese, morbidly obese, even some who are overweight, don't know how much they weigh. Because why would you? If you weighed over 250 pounds, would you get on the scale every so often and check to see how you're doing? I never did. The only reason I knew I weighed 270 was when I was in the doctor's office and I saw the scale. And I realized something was very wrong. That I was doing something wrong and I needed to fix it. Probably took another at least 10 pounds before I got the help from my endocrinologist and got my hormones straightened out and started losing the weight. And I lost more than that 30 pounds that I put on. Oh, there goes the stream. Let me settle down a little bit. Oh, how tall is she, Lacey? She's 5'5". And we'll get into her BMI a little later. And Ray, that means there are at least 3 of her in other alternate universes. Yes, absolutely. The Bizarro, maybe. Oh yeah, yeah. You can fix it if you pause the video. That'll allow it to buffer the stream some more. And you'll front load it. That usually works for me. If it really locks up, though, I would just refresh the page. That helps quite often. But it looks like it's just a little thing here and there. Like Lacey said, it was just a small hiccup. So I want this to be as smooth as possible for you guys. But yeah, so she gains 120 pounds. She goes from at least 140 to 260, and she's happy. Are you a size 16 at 5'5" when you weigh 140? Does that make sense? The ladies out there who know women's dress sizes, can you fill me in on that? About what dress size would you be at 5'5", 140 pounds, 150 pounds? If it's a size 14 or 16, 18, okay, I won't eat my hat, but I'll take a little nibble out of the back of it. But I don't know. I'd think it'd be something more like a 14 or a 12. But I'm not a professional clothes shopper, so. From Lacey, I didn't know how much I weighed until I decided to get healthy and took the admittedly scary step of finding out the number. But you know what? I got the number, freaked out, and got over it. Good for you. Good for you. That is what you have to assess yourself before you begin any kind of journey. You have to know where you're starting from. And if you're afraid to look, you'll never take that first step towards getting better. Now that first step may be seeing a professional. You may have to see a nutritionist or a psychologist or an MD. You may, or all 3. Who knows? But you're gonna need help. And if you don't want to look at that number on your own, you want someone to help you look at that number, make that appointment. Tell them, I'm worried about my weight. Where do I go from here? And the first thing they're going to do is they're going to weigh you and they're going to get a baseline. If you have a doctor who refuses to say the word fat or obese, get another doctor. Get one who will talk turkey, who will be straight with you. Right now in the medical profession, especially in the UK, there are almost strict prohibitions against using the word fat and obese with patients because it'll hurt their feelings. When in the world did the Hippocratic Oath go from first do no harm, meaning do not make the patient's medical condition worse, to first don't hurt their fee-fees? As Ben Shapiro says, faster than I can, my facts don't care about your feelings. Your weight is a fact. Your feeling has nothing to do with it. Anita, I'm guessing a 10 or a 12. That's where I was at. I was thinking 12, so I wasn't too far off. 10 or a 12. Excuse me. Got something in my throat. Yeah, 10 or 12. So, she's just, I'm sorry, she's got to be lying somewhere along the line. You don't go from 140 or 150 to 268 and only go up a few dress sizes. If she was 16 to 18 size before she had Riley, she would have had to have been at least 180, 200. I hate it when these people who are professing self-love, who are telling people, be kind to yourself no matter the weight, no matter what you eat, no matter how you look. Love yourself. Don't worry about getting better. You're perfect the way you are. I'm tired of those people being in self-denial, being adept, being professional projectionists, putting their feelings, their insecurities onto you. If you can't be secure enough to correctly state your weight now or before, why am I supposed to believe you about anything? Why am I supposed to follow you? Trust. Trust is imperative. How can I trust you? Pathetic. You're absolutely right. She does have to get things custom fitted. Well, she does have her own, or at least several, clothing lines that I'm aware of. So I'm sure she's able to tell the seamstress, hey, stitch me up, get me where I need to be, make sure you cover my belly, and then I'll model it, and then we'll sell it off the rack to people, and it won't look the same. From Anita, I've never heard of a doctor ignoring weight, and I've been in the medical field for 20 years. It's usually the first thing they say about any problem is lose weight because it affects everything. I agree with you, Anita. That is where it used to be, at least when I was in medicine. And again, I was not a medical professional. I was a emergency medical technician. I was a surgical technician, and I was an ER technician, which meant I basically did EMT duties in the ER. But that was what it used to be. But I have a friend now who's a surgical nurse and a nurse anesthetist. And she says that doctors anymore don't even talk about diet here in the U.S. If you have high cholesterol, they'll just put you on a statin. They won't discuss diet at all. It's, here's a drug. Go for it. I mean, look at all the medicines now for type 2 diabetes. Trulicity being one of them. You look at all those people in those ads, and they're obese, or at least borderline heavyweight, overweight, obese. Nothing in that article about getting on a healthy regimen, watching what you eat and exercising, so you wouldn't need Trulicity anymore. I have a good friend back when I was an air traffic controller. He was in shape, not in excellent shape, but he was in shape. Drank a little too much maybe. And he got type 2 diabetes at 33. He cut out sugars, he cut out booze, and he got his A1C down. And he was no longer type 2 diabetic. He got his stuff together. But these new ads, they're like, hey, just take this drug. Don't worry about losing weight. Don't worry about what God meant you to be. We'll just give you a shot. You'll be good to go. You'll still have to wear size 50 jeans and XXX shirts, But who cares? There's a shot for that. Excellent, Ray. Excellent. You got a great doctor. Now, see, my doctor, the one I fired 2 years ago, the only thing he ever said to me when I started to gain that extra weight. Now, mind you, I was about 250 when I first started seeing him. He didn't say a word. When I gained that extra 30 pounds, 20 pounds, I should say 20 pounds, because I stopped seeing him after I hit 270. The only thing he said to me was, you need to think about moving around more. That was it. Didn't talk to me about diet. Didn't talk to me about specific exercises, because I have a fused vertebrae, 2 fused vertebrae here. All of my lumbar spine is fused. I have artificial hips. I have spinal stenosis, osteo, and degenerative arthritis. So I can't just go to the gym and hit the treadmill. I have to look at specific exercises. Water aerobics is helping me a lot right now. It's helping my wife too. But I can't just go out there and start lifting weights. Does he help me with any of that? No. He just tells me, you need to move around more. Thanks. Thanks. And that's not uncommon. Like I said, diet? No, we're not going to talk about diet. There's a shot for that. There's a pill for that. It's pathetic. I don't know if she had a CSAR. Lacey, you're in Colorado and the doctor has never discussed your weight, even when you went in for depression, which is crazy because obesity can cause hormone imbalances. Absolutely, absolutely. Depression is a major sign of obesity, or excuse me, comorbidity. I'm sorry about that. Yes, absolutely. Because as you gain weight, you start to feel less social. You start to feel ostracized. Your anxiety levels go up, and that all contributes to depression. And then it's a vicious cycle. It just goes from there. You'll stress, you'll eat more, you'll gain more weight, you'll feel less able to get out in society, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Got to talk about that with it. Again, if your doctor isn't helping you with that, out they go. Anita's recently lost 30 pounds. See, Anita, you got a great doctor. That's I wish we could all fly to your lovely area of the world and get help, because obviously your people are doing it right. That's wonderful. That is. I'm just so happy for you that you've got a great doctor. My primary is really good. He's very excited about the weight my new primary is very excited about the weight I lost. He encourages it. He gives me a lot of positive feedback. But he always asks, are you losing this weight because you want to? Because he knows that if this weight's coming off and I'm not happy with the rate it's happening at, or I feel ill, he knows it's something more than just a hormone imbalance that's being properly managed, and something else is going on. And he's going to look into it more deeply. That's a good doctor. I love this guy. Northwestern Medical System, if anybody's looking for a doctor. Chicago, Illinois. These people are incredible. All right. So, here's some of the media reaction to Tess's Cosmo cover. Now, there were positive reviews and negative reviews, like the one we're doing right now. Oh, Cincinnati. I have never been to Cincinnati. I mean to, but it's one of the places I've never been. My wife and I ultimately went to thank you, Lucy. Get your tail out of the picture. My wife and I ultimately went to do a Major League Baseball stadium tour. And Cincinnati is, of course, right there on the list. Want to watch the Reds. Lucy, get off the keyboard. You know better. Friend of mine. Yes, Ray, it is. Luckily, it is on the north side, which is the least crime-ridden area of Chicago. Very, very safe there for the most part. There were problems a few years ago. There's a major north-south mass transit line, elevated line. We just call it the L, light rail that goes from the deep south side to the north side. It's called the Red Line. And it's quite long. And for a couple summers, some of the Ute from the south side were taking the Red Line up to the north side and doing strong arm robberies, carjackings, shootings. It was shut down ultimately, but now all that crime is concentrated on the south side and the west side. The backyard neighborhood is one of them. It's terrible. It's terrible. And you'll have people who, I've had this conversation with someone. I was talking about the Democratic leadership of Chicago. Chicago has been Democrat since before I was born, and I'm in my 50s. If you've ever heard of the Dailies, father, son, they both ran the city at one time. The Chicago Democratic cabal is world famous. Uncle Bobbity, send Tess Holliday to live in Chicago, and each night she has to run home. She'll have greater appreciation of her body's safety, etc. Once again, Uncle Bobby, that's another 250 cattle bucks to you. That's very good. But anyway, so the crime is concentrated on the south and the west side. Those are the highest African American neighborhoods, highest black population, and in the Chicago Metroplex. And I was talking with someone, and I was complaining about how little the Democratic machine in Chicago had done about this crime wave, about all these shootings, because they've been going on for years. And that person said, that's only in a small part of the city. The north side is completely safe. As if that explains everything. That Chicago is doing such a great job because only the black people are killing themselves. And this person isn't a racist. This person's a progressive. There's not a racist bone in their body, but they will explain away a democratic regime that's done nothing to help its citizens by saying the crime is only in a small area. That's kind of thinking that you have to put up with sometimes. And speaking of thinking you have to put up with, here's this article. Tess Holliday is on a Cosmo cover and her body-shaming critics are not. So right off the bat, we get what's going on here. You may be critical of Tess, but you're not as good as Tess, because Tess got on a magazine cover and you didn't. La 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 la. That's pathetic. And before we get too far in this article, let's look at the author, who was kind enough to provide a picture. Dawn M. Burks from the Dallas Morning News. There's Dawn. Not exactly svelte. So we know what side of the body positivity spectrum she falls on. So let's just come down here a little bit. Tess Holliday, this is the tweet that went out with her cover. Phew. I'm literally a Cosmo girl. Can't believe I'm saying that. Thank you, Cosmopolitan UK, for this incredible opportunity. If I saw a body like mine on this magazine when I was a young girl, it would have changed my life. How? Would you have still gained that extra 120 pounds after having your son? Or would you have, what does that mean? You're like, oh, I'm fat. People make fun of me, but that's okay, because I'm fat. Wow, I'm fat. Yay. Look at this cover model. She's fat too. Everybody can be fat. That's a great message. Holliday should be celebrating a milestone. Instead, she's become a defender. I'm literally just telling people to be happy with themselves, Holliday said. It just happens to come from a bigger body. It just happens to. No, you made it a bigger body. You made yourself that large. God didn't give you that body. You created that body. She might as well sigh, because you've heard her say it before. Holliday has long been a leader when it comes to body positivity. It's more than a hashtag to her, even though she started one, F your beauty standards. It's how she moves through her life, which, if you weren't aware, is hers. There's that defensiveness. There's that victim complex. Just popping right through. Again, we have all heard it before that she's promoting obesity, an unhealthy lifestyle, even death. True. True. So how do we go from that? How do we take this article and run with the truth now that it's been exposed? We don't. We just pivot. And we go to, after seeing this cover, I didn't immediately crave a bacon cheeseburger. It didn't compel me to abandon my quest to find better eating habits and more exercise. So, it didn't want you to eat worse, and it didn't want to make you stop trying to be healthier. But then she says, I doubt any little girl will look at it and proclaim their intention to eat more. Tess said she was happiest at her current weight, at 268 pounds. She was happy that she gained 120 pounds after she had her baby. Mixed message. This cover does not represent obesity to a lot of people. And if it does to you, then it's not for you. What this cover represents is inclusivity. What this cover represents is confidence. What this cover represents is self-love. Well, we talked about self-love earlier. Love yourself for the person you can be, for the person you can strive to be, not for the person you are. We all have faults. We all have areas we can improve upon. I have a temper. Sometimes I'm very short with my wife. I hate hearing things repeated, even if they need to be repeated. I hate repetition. I hate when I repeat myself, even though I do on these streams. It drives me crazy. I have faults, and I need to be better about them. That's the person I love, the person I can be. Even if Holliday decided to lose weight, it isn't as if it would be gone tomorrow. Who cares? Who says it has to be? Perfect straw man. Would you have her just stay in the house and out of sight until she reaches some arbitrary goal, an arbitrary goal that changes every few years? What? No one's saying that. The guy that we talked about earlier from the Heavy TV show on A&E, he weighed over 250 pounds and he ran a half marathon. Anyone who would have yelled at him, "Run, chubby, run," is worthless and is discounted immediately as a person who does not need to have a voice in society. If you looked at him and said, "Look at that guy go, he's trying his best," then good for you, good for us. That's where we come from. But again, according to her, defensiveness, projection of insecurities. I'm tired of that. Let's try another tactic. Holliday is a grown woman. What if this was a picture presented to you of a preteen girl next door who was already trying to diet because of your snide comments? I have one viewer, I will say, who has said flat out that body shaming made her lose weight. That she got tired of hearing all that stuff and realized she could do something about it. Did something about it, and is now the happiest she's ever been. Am I saying fat shaming is good for everybody? No, I'm not. But if you hear those words, instead of instantly slamming that person for being fat phobic, maybe you should listen to the words themselves, if not the tone, and take something from that. We can all do that. I had someone refer to me as an idiot yesterday because I carry a firearm. I know him well, and I consider ourselves to be at least acquaintances, if not friends. But he said, "and other idiots like you," when talking about people who have concealed carry. And I let it slide because I know he didn't mean that I specifically was an idiot. He was just talking about gun owners and how he feels about gun owners. I didn't take it personally. I know his views on the Second Amendment. We've talked about it. So I'm not going to start screaming at him or run away in a huff because of something he said like that. I know what he was saying. That's all that goes on here. Listen to what's being said. Listen to the context, not just the tone. I know which choice I would make for the little girls I know who are already trying to attain some impossible ideal. Straw man again. I choose inclusivity. I choose representation. I choose a 300-pound model on the cover of a magazine out of the United Kingdom who states that that anyone can eat whatever they want, whenever they want, and not feel bad about it. Watch my video again, the UK naked obesity video. Watch that and listen to how these people eat, and listen to their life stories. And you tell me if they choose inclusivity and representation over being healthy. Because when they do, they're in denial and they're killing themselves. Or maybe I fall in the grade school retort, I may be fat, but you're ugly and I can always lose weight. Well, then go ahead. Go ahead and lose that weight. Just because you can doesn't mean you will. And someone who's ugly, maybe that's just talking about their outward appearance. You're not talking about them as a person. When I talk about you as being overweight or morbidly obese, I'm not talking about you as solely that. I'm talking about you as a person who refuses to take responsibility for their actions, who refuses to own up to the fact that they're killing themselves, and, at worst, they're telling other people it's okay to kill themselves too. An ugly person on the outside may not have those feelings, may be more of a person who feels that they should love themselves because of who they can be, and who is working on self-improvement, and is therefore beautiful on the inside. But you're just talking about appearances. You may be fat, yeah, do something about it. I may be ugly, I'm stuck with that. So who's in the wrong here? Who does the onus lie upon? Not the ugly person. And finally, the words that are being spewed are just that, ugly. And as the retort intimates, ugly can be forever. Yeah, well, fat doesn't have to be forever unless you will it to be, which makes you the ugly person. They may not look pretty, but think of how much better you'll look if you lose 150 pounds. That's the kind of stuff you put up with from these body positive people, these fat acceptance feminists, all the time. Hate. They don't look at the other side. They're so defensive. They're such victims. They see it all as hate. Here's another one. This is from the Daily Mail. I don't like to refer to the Daily Mail very often because it's known worldwide as the Daily Fail. This is a newspaper that published an article about a person having consensual sex with a dolphin over a series of years at a habitat in Florida. That's the Daily Mail. But this is an opinion piece. And opinions are always good. This is by Amanda Platel. And the article is, Platel's People, What Hope for Girls, with role models ranging from tiny-waisted Kim Kardashian to bountiful Tess Holliday. Bountiful. Tiny-waisted. Okay, so there's disparaging right there. Not slender. Tiny-waisted. Tiny. That's a big word in the fat acceptance community. If you're below any weight that they consider obese, you're tiny. And that's a pejorative. Sorry if I'm running away from the chat. You guys, you're fine. If you need to get a hold of me, just say hat in all caps with a bunch of exclamation points. I'll probably pick it up. One of these days I'll have Super Chat turned on, not because I'm trying to get money from you guys. I have a Patreon account, whatever. Nobody's on it. I don't care. I put it up there because everybody else has one. peer pressure. Basically, just pure peer pressure. But I want to get Super Chat in because I want to be able to see the comments that you guys really want me to see. Um, and yeah, I don't care if it's a $2 Super Chat. I'll read the whole thing. Um, but YouTube has been jerking me around for 4 months about getting monetization. A process that's supposed to take a week. 4 months. Coming up on 5. And all I've heard from them is one email about a month ago that said, we're working on it. Sorry for the delay. Thanks, YouTube. Thanks. So yes, bountiful Tess Holliday. So let's just scroll down here a little bit. Close that. No wonder that with role models ranging from tiny-waisted Kim to bountiful Tess, young girls who seek inspiration and solace from fashion magazines are hopelessly confused, and it seems increasingly unhappy. Well, yeah, look at what we're doing to them. Those are two impossible... there I go with that. See what happens when you listen to these people over time? You absorb the language. And that's something I rail about often, is not letting them take over the language. Bountiful, for instance. She's morbidly obese. She has ample bosoms, but she's... bountiful is not the word I would use. Bountiful is a good harvest. Tess Holliday, if she lost a lot of weight, that'd be a skin harvest, but that's about it. But yeah, increasingly unhappy. So what about people who look like everyday people? Just normal, a five woman who weighs 130 pounds. What's wrong with that? But we go from Cosmo, 1976, which I showed you earlier, to Cosmo today. I don't have it up anymore. Yeah. Yeah, what are young women supposed to do? I'll tell you what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to read those damn magazines. They're worthless. They're absolutely worthless. If I was a parent, no way. No way. You want to sneak at the library? If it's carried there, I can't stop you. Otherwise, it's not coming into my house. There's nothing in those that I've ever seen that's helpful. It's all quick. It's all quick fix. Undoable tips that even if you could do them, even if you could internalize them, they'd last as long as a no-carb diet, which is something else they would tell you to do. So no, none of that. No Teen Vogue. And I say that because even though my niece was in Teen Vogue, I still don't think it's a good magazine. I was proud of her at the time, but anymore, I can't say so. Thank you, Curmudgeon. Thank you. Be well, sir. Be well. And thank you, Lacey. I'm glad I'm not totally off base here. Anita, no one can seriously and honestly say they are healthy and happy overweight. It's depressing. You feel sick all the time. Your entire body hurts. Absolutely, Anita. Absolutely. And congratulations, by the way, on your earlier part there. That's wonderful. But yeah. I was a mess when my hormones were shot. I was a complete mess. I couldn't get off the couch except to go to the bathroom and sit up to eat. That was it. I was on the couch the entire time. I was so tired. I was so out of sorts. I couldn't even listen to music. I felt so rotten. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't walk. I couldn't drive. I was shot, mentally and physically shot. So again, if you're feeling bad about your weight or just bad in general, go see somebody. Make that effort to let someone help you. Some people say you can do it all on your own. You never need any outside help. You don't need drugs, whatever. I'm a living example of pharmacology. So we're not. I take 13 drugs a day. 13. And if it weren't for them, I'd be flat on my back, not moving. Seriously, seriously, I would be. I'd be in so much pain. I'd be in so much discomfort. I would be so out of sorts that I wouldn't be able to do a thing. I'm not proud that I take 13 drugs a day, but I'm happy with what they're doing for me. And the people around me are happy too. I'm active. I'm social. I can be fun to be around. Maybe not here, maybe not with you guys. Maybe I'm a little too strident. Maybe I'm too forceful and I should lighten up. I don't know. Put it in the comments section. But yeah, I could be better, but I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I want to do better for myself, better for the people around me, and I'm getting there. I really didn't click into how to be a better person until I was in my mid-50s. It took me that long. Maybe another drug helped. I don't know. I did get on another drug right around mid-50s, so maybe that was what I needed. Or maybe I finally grew up. I don't know. So here's where I wanted to get with this article. Oops, sorry, wrong way. Get off of there. Get off of there. There we go. I'm screwing up my formatting. I'm so good at this. So, talking about the confused young ladies reading these magazines. So confused that a survey this week claimed 1 in 4 teenage girls in Britain now self-harms. Why? Because they worry about their appearance and conforming to body stereotypes. But how can they have a realistic expectation of how their own bodies should look when they are presented with such physical extremes in magazines and on social media? Good point. That's not to mention the armies of stick-thin models who parade across the fashion pages like dead-eyed gazelles. The perils of aping any of these looks should be all too plain, but when you are a woman trying to be accepted in a shallow world, it's all too easy to be blinded by insecurity. Mother of 3, Leah Cambridge, 29, was so desperate for a perfect post-baby body that she went to Turkey for a Kim Kardashian special, a bum lift, but she died. How does her children's father explain to them that Mummy died because she wanted to be perfect, when she always was in their eyes? Good point. Good point. However, you got something wrong here. Self-harms because they worry about their appearance and conforming to body stereotypes. That is a reason, but she's presenting this as the only reason, and that's not the case. And here is the fact. This is from healthyplace.com. And again, the link will be in the description. Knowing the self-injury facts can help you better understand the underlying origins of this behavior and the techniques of self-harm. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 4th edition, the DSM for all of you in the know, lists self-injurious behavior as a symptom of borderline personality disorder, but recent research indicates that it also occurs with other mental health disorders, including, first on the list here, eating disorders. Okay, so Platel was correct in citing eating disorders as reason for self-harming, but not the reason. Not everyone who looks at Cosmo or Vogue thinks to themselves, I am so upset that I don't look like this, I'm going to take a razor to my thigh, or I'm going to stick pins into my cheeks. Not everyone thinks that way. So Platel's being a little over the top here, if I may say so. And here are the other parts of this list: depression, anxiety disorders, substance abuse, and conduct and oppositional disorders, which is a borderline personality disorder. So we repeat ourselves. But look at the eating disorders. You can have the depression and anxiety disorder as a comorbidity. So these are really wrapped up in with each other. Now, I'm not saying an anxiety disorder will cause an eating disorder. I'm not saying depression will cause an eating disorder. But they are linked. If you have one, you have to watch out for the others. Let's finish this article. Whoops, right here. The perils of anorexia are well documented. For me, most worrying is the promotion of Cosmo's new cover girl. Yes, Tess has an exquisite face, but is she really a healthy role model for teenage girls? Being fat is no fun. Thank you, Platel. Thank you. You've redeemed yourself. The celebration of her curves sends out a message that obesity can be glamorous. Yes, a big girl can look lovely, but in a world, as we saw earlier with the swimsuit models from the Manif by the sea, those were attractive. Some of those were attractive women. They were curvy women. Look at my first video on Whitney Thor, whining Whitney Thor. Amanda, her friend, got to close the quotes, in the video, who was being promoted on talk shows because she had beat anorexia and was now a curvy young woman who looked quite attractive in a bathing suit. One of the hosts on that show actually commented on that, and Whitney was absolutely consumed with rage that someone would make that point. And I have to admit, even Amanda was pretty defensive about it, because one of her Instagram posts is her looking cute with the title, "I'm not here for your boner." Sweet. But anyway, so there are curvy girls that are quite attractive. We've seen that. And that is a plus-size model, not a morbidly obese model. Let's stop using plus size to mean everything between overweight and clinically morbidly obese, near death. That's, again, the language. This time they're stretching the language. Ridiculous. Okay, Uncle Bobbity. I hope I didn't miss you. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you up. Lacey, childhood obesity is a topic that actually keeps me up at night crying sometimes. That I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. When you see, and it affects me too actually, when you see a child who is overweight, you think, well, that's tough. But when you see a child who's morbidly obese, it breaks your heart. Because you know what that kid is going to go through unless something's changed and changed quickly. Not saying they have to lose the weight immediately. That's impossible. You can't do that, and I would never expect that of anyone, unlike, what's her name, that article we just read a little bit ago. That's no one does that. No one expects that. But you want to see that kid get healthy. And part of you is blaming the kid for overeating. You can't help it. Part of you is going to blame the kid. But the majority of you is going to blame the parents because they're letting this happen. And we're going to get into part of one of the excuses that people make for obesity. A little later on, we're going to talk about that. But for now, I'll continue with Platel here. The celebration of her curves sends out a message that obesity can be glamorous. Yes, a big girl can look lovely, but in a world where teenagers are fascinated by the endless images pouting on social media, we've lost sight of what a healthy teen body looks like. It's not the product of a plastic surgeon's knife, and it's also not a 20-stone frame. 20 stone is 280 pounds. A stone is 14 pounds. There is a happy medium that involves running around outdoors from a young age, sport after school, watching what you eat, and self-control. It's not rocket science, but it might help girls to learn to love themselves. Bravo. Bravo. Absolutely. Absolutely. I had that one nit to pick with Platel about the body image being the cause for self-harm. Maybe she didn't mean it that way. Maybe I'm reading into it too much. But at the rest of this article, aside from the word bountiful, which I don't think is appropriate, I think that's glamorizing Tess. I'm sorry, I'm holding my finger up like a nun in school. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. That you're soft selling the problem here. Instead of bountiful, you should have said at least overweight, in my opinion. If you're going to be honest in this article, don't soft sell the problem. But that's my one real quibble. The other one, I could just be being a pedant about it. Now, Here's an article from Yahoo. Being obese isn't okay. Models mag cover sparks angry comments. Tess Holliday is unapologetic about her body. The first size 22 model to land a contract with a major modeling agency, Holliday had a 2016 People magazine cover that put her at the front and the center of the body positivity movement. Yeah, that cover was before she gained 120 pounds. We've gone over her tweet. Now, let me close. I've got to close this up a little bit to close this damn comment. So here's Tess. Pretty from the neck up. I will not deny that with the right makeup, Tess is an attractive woman. I will not deny that. But that's a lot of makeup. I'm not being mean here. I'm just saying that's a lot of makeup. Because you remember her cover from Self magazine. Let me see, where am I at here? Let me find that. Yeah, wow, first try. That's Tess without makeup. Without studio lighting. No. No, 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 no. Not to be cruel, but I'm just going to say it out loud. Hard pass. Fans of Holliday on Twitter also shared Cosmo's love. Trying to figure out how different my life and self-image would be if I had grown up seeing women of all sizes represented like this. It wouldn't be good. It'd be dangerous to you, to your health. You'd be less of a social person around your family. You're defensive. You're probably a third-wave feminist. And that means you need help. I don't have a problem with feminism, by the way. I do not. First-wave feminism, the vote, absolutely. Long overdue. Remember, the vote was seen as a plus for your community service. It was for being a volunteer fireman, for being a soldier, for being a businessman, things like this. It was your reward for being a good citizen, and women were relegated to second class. I'm totally aware of that, but they got to vote, mainly with the help of who? Men. Let's not forget who was in charge at the time. The women worked their butt off to get themselves heard, but it was men who changed the law. So this third-wave feminism about hating men, blaming the patriarchy for everything, is ridiculous. Let's blow this back up. Some people's stories and strength of spirit are too important to ignore. Tess Holliday's story, she spelled it with one L, is about so much more than her body. Please read it, pass it on to women you know. It should be on to, not onto. You know, and realize that the secret to surviving in a tough world is by being even tougher. Well, yeah, be tougher, sure. Absolutely be tougher. But don't love yourself for being 300 pounds. Come on. You're taking your one of your biggest faults and you're elevating it to a plus. Maybe that's where plus size model comes from. I don't know. Here's my favorite. At Tess Holliday, about to have me walking into all my auditions today in a green bathing suit. Snatch our edges, sis, all caps. I am on the 405 screaming right now, all caps. If I saw this kind of representation when I was 13, I would be untouchable. Keep paving the way, Ms. Tess. Yeah. Okay, fine. She fired you up. I dare you to start using that green bikini in your auditions. If you do get work, congratulations. Tess has paved the way for you. She's also paved the way for you to deny that your body should be healthier and that you're going to die at an early age. Congratulations. Now, here's something in this tweet that I noticed right away. I'm on the 405. What is the 405, you may ask? The 405 is an interstate highway. major north-south interstate highway in Southern California. It is a bypass auxiliary route of Interstate 5 running along the southern and western parts of the greater Los Angeles area, blah, 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 blah. She's on the freeway. And she's texting on Instagram. Right. Moving on from there. That's it. I had all these posted up, but when the page is reloaded, all of my edits are gone. Let me come back down here. I know where it's at. Here we go. Now, screw it. For some reason, I burst into tears when I saw this. This is by Sacha Brown Worsham. Maybe because I used to pour through women's magazines as a teen, it says as a teen for hours of misery. For hours of misery. Imagining how much happier I'd be if I looked like them. I just pray this means my daughters won't waste so many formative minutes. Minutes. How about hours? Seriously. Now, you would think that Sacha Brown Worsham would be like our first author here, a plus-size woman, someone who needed to feel good about her body in order to get through life. You'd be wrong. This is Sacha Brown Worsham today. Writer, editor, yoga instructor. She looks great. See if there's another picture of her. Yeah, here we go right here. Is there anything that this woman needs from Tess Holliday? Anything? No. No, not at all. One last piece. Here we go. Most Yahoo commenters did not, however, share this sentiment. Many worried about the new prevailing narrative they saw the cover spreading. Quote, the term body positivity has been appropriated by the obese to allow for them to normalize their narrative, which states that being obese is okay, unquote, one commenter wrote. It isn't okay, it isn't healthy, quote unquote. Here's my favorite. Remember the Marlboro Man and how it influenced society? This is a similar example promoting unhealthy lifestyles. Several readers outlined what an unhealthy lifestyle could result in. Quote, I'm not saying she needs to look like a supermodel, but she's really only a champion of heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, and many other avoidable conditions, unquote. Yes, avoidable like cancer. Much higher rate of cancer in the obese than the general population. Much higher rate of stroke, of other cardiovascular diseases. Much higher rate of joint injury, someone correct me if bone density is part of this or not. I honestly can't remember. Let's say it's not. I'm just going to throw it out of there. I may have just made that up. Anyway, there are over a dozen comorbidities with obesity. And Tess saying it's okay to eat what you want, whenever you want, to be whatever size you want to be. Hallelujah, sisters. And remember, this is only women. They never talk about men. This is only women. Hallelujah. And now, see, we'll get into how this works for men in a second. Not for obese men, but for men who like curvy women. We'll get into that. Oh, hey, Tina. I hope you're doing well this afternoon. What is it? My God, we're going on 3 hours almost. I hope you all have iron butts. Let me know if you want to take a break. This is a stopping point right now. We're going to get into the meat of the backlash real soon. So if I'll wait for the comments. If you guys want to take a 5 or 10 minute break, let me know. I'm fine. I'm fine. But if you want a bit of a rest, let me know. I'll Hit 1 if you want me to take a break. I'll wait for the comments to catch up. I'll read some comments here. Jungle Cat Stevens, Marlboro Man is an excellent example to show the destructive aspect. Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And Tina, all I'm saying is 9 out of 10 people know better, but still swallow huge amounts of garbage, junk food several times a day. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. We do not have any snack food in this house other than fruit and Dots pretzel sticks. And we don't eat a lot of the pretzel sticks. Every now and then, though, we do pull them out. If you've never had Dots, you can get it on Amazon. As far as I'm concerned, it's the best pretzel on the market. D-O-T-S, Dots. If you like pretzels, you're going to go nuts over these. Lacey, yes, the education system in America is absolutely trash. Absolutely. Couple to keep going. Okay, great. Oh, Tina, I'm so sorry. So sorry these drag on so long for you. Okay, so a couple votes for keeping it going, and we'll keep that going. But yeah, just real quickly on the educational system here in America. Once, in my opinion, once the Department of Education kicked in, schooling in America went right to hell. We stopped emphasizing science. We stopped emphasizing history, real history, not the fake socialism history you see nowadays. Like, oh gosh, what's that one stupid history book that's out there right now? An American History, I think it's called, or America's History. It's full of nothing but lies and deception about the founding fathers and the ending of slavery and things like that. It makes America sound like the worst place in the world. It's not the America I grew up in. It's not the America I live in. Yes, there's a lot of political division right now. Yes, there's a lot of drug overdoses. Yes, there's a lot of shooting going on in inner city neighborhoods. But I love this country. I adore this country. Doesn't mean I look down on other countries necessarily. Doesn't mean that at all. But there are some countries that are worth looking down upon. Some that do not have a good culture, that do not treat everyone equally, that discriminate on sex, race, religion. There are a lot of them out there. I don't have any warmth for those countries whatsoever. But America is not one of those countries. Rant over. Okay, so who was the biggest name to come out against this Tess Holliday cover? Piers Morgan. If you don't know who Piers Morgan is, look him up. I'm not gonna go over it right now. I forgot to write this down. I will have the link in the wiki link in the description. Make sure I put that in there. Piers is an extremely well-known commentator on the BBC in the UK. Yeah, I'm being redundant. He has a huge following, and he is often controversial. If you do know of him at all here in the U.S., it may be because you saw Ben Shapiro, a very young Ben Shapiro, rip him to shreds over the gun control debate after the Sandy Hook shooting, or the Newtown shooting, depending on where you live. Piers was in the absolute gun control camp, and Ben destroyed him. And Piers has never forgiven him for that. Piers does have some good comments, though. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. Just saying every now and then he has bad ideas. And here's one idea of his, I agree with. Here's his tweet. His Facebook post. Wait, is this Facebook or Instagram? I can never tell the difference. I'd say it's Instagram. As Britain battles an ever-worsening obesity crisis, this is the new cover of Cosmo. Apparently, we're supposed to view it as, quote, a huge step forward for body positivity, unquote. What a load of old baloney. This cover is just as dangerous and misguided as celebrating zero-size models. Ta-da! Blunt, well-spoken, to the point. There's one comment here. Here's one for Tess. I'm plus-size peers, and all is plus-size women know it's not healthy. Whatever. We aren't stupid, but just because we are plus-size, why should we get treated like crap in my society and slagged off for it? He's not treating Tess like crap. He's just stating the obvious. But once again, there's that defensiveness, that victim complex that was pointed out earlier, oh so well. We deserve to be beautiful, to have clothes made in larger size, etc. too, not just for people who are size 12. We matter too. Tess is simply showing is that beauty comes in all forms. There are more serious things going on in the world to worry about than this. Yeah, like the obesity epidemic. You know, the one that's killing people left and right? The one that's slashing people's lifespans by 10 years easily? Right off the top. If you're morbidly obese, you can expect to lose 10 years off your life, just like if you're a regular smoker. It's done. That's all there is to it. They come off. Not, you know, the pounds come off, it goes up. I lost again with my formatting being taken out when we crashed. Okay, here's one I'll go with. Agreed peers, although a beautiful woman, this is extreme weight and unlikely to promote good health and well-being. To my mind, extremes in weight in either direction shouldn't be celebrated. We should promote normal and healthy size and weight range and discourage over and under eating. Love it that you're not afraid to take the non-PC approach. There you go. That's not the one I had picked, but it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It covers the whole range. Not too thin, not too fat, somewhere in the middle. Take care of yourself. Perfect comment. Perfect comment. Now, what were the other comments? One I just scrolled over. There was another one about Piers being a mean man. You know, you're mean for pointing out that Tess isn't a healthy role model. That's horrible of you. No facts. No facts whatsoever. Just feelings. Just hurt feelings. Now, some of Tess's detractors made the comment that she was a drain on the British healthcare system, on the NHS, which is an easy mistake to make because they probably hadn't heard of her before, and she appeared on the cover of a UK magazine. Here's Tess's response. To everyone saying I'm a burden on the British healthcare system, I'm American, didn't capitalize American, so you don't have to worry about my big fat ass. I editorialized there, I'm sorry, it doesn't say big. It just says you don't have to worry about my fat ass. Again, her butt. It always comes to her butt. Her butt, as she's concerned, is her best feature, and everyone can kiss it. Worry about what horrible people you are by whining about how me being on the cover of a glossy magazine impacts your small-minded life. Well, there you go. There you go. Narcissistic, mean-spirited, cruel, and small-minded. Her. It's not. Here she talks about impacting young women, how she wished she had seen someone like her on the cover of a magazine when she was a kid. But then she says, you're whining about how me being on the cover of a glossy magazine impacts your small-minded life. Well, let's just take out small-minded. Impacts your life. You just said it impacts lives. You said you hope it impacts lives. And now you're complaining that it impacted people in a negative way. You poor, poor, whiny, fat girl. And I am not saying fat girl as a pejorative to anyone out there who is overweight. I'm talking about this woman, this Tess Holliday, because she is celebrating her fatness. Because she is telling the world it's okay to look just like her with all that makeup. Otherwise, you're Self magazine again, and we don't want that. There's more in there. She's a sexual assault victim. I'm not calling her a liar. I'm not dismissing anyone's victimhood if they were sexually assaulted. But it just seems to me that there's a lot of that going around in the feminist community. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you think I'm out of bounds here, Feel free to just slash me to smithereens, you know, drive me into ruin. Fine, go for it. But it just seems like every time I read a life story of someone who's a third wave feminist, they've been sexually assaulted. Is that a prerequisite? Does that get you into the club? Or are people sometimes claiming this to show their even higher victimhood than being overweight and being a mean person? Again, I could be way off base here. Feel free to savage me if I am. I deserve it if that's the case. Well, if you love Ben Shapiro, Nita, you're going to love what's coming up. Teaser. So what have we got here? Let me skip around a little bit. See. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I wanted to follow the Piers Morgan Instagram with a comment by someone who you will recognize as good old Dr. Phil. Now, Dr. Phil felt he had to respond to Piers' mean tweet. Now, this video appeared on a fairly well-known, I'll say glossy, internet news source. They have their own TV show, too. But I have a feeling their copyright lawyers are just looking for excuses to shut down YouTube channels. So I have taken the video that I downloaded from them, and I have squeezed it, I have framed it, and I have sped it up. The voice is still perfectly legible. It's Dr. Phil, so he talks slowly anyway. But I did all that to keep it from getting copyright struck. So without further ado, let me open this up a bit. Dr. Phil on Piers Morgan's. Now I'm going to pause a couple times in here for commentary. But here's Dr. Phil on Piers Morgan's tweet. Nope. No sound. That's set where it's supposed to be. Let me check the desktop audio, make sure that get changed. Oops, wrong setting. Sorry for the technical glitch here, folks. Probably got screwed up when we lost everything. Aha, yep. No, that's. Let's see. Desktop headphones. I do want to hear it. Why is that not right? Let me look in sound. Nope. Yep, that got changed. Okay, that should do it. Let me back it up. Cancel that. Try again.
Morgan is a great friend of mine, and I think he writes brilliant columns the vast amount of the time. But I have to say, I disagree with what he's saying here, because the fact of the matter is, and this shouldn't happen, but it does happen, body image and self-image do vary together. When your body image goes down, your self-image tends to go down. Shouldn't be that way, but it is. And when your body image goes up, your self-image goes up.
Okay, do we have sound? I'll wait a little bit for the chat to catch up. We're at my pause point here, so let's just see what we got. Because I'm not going to make you guys sit through 2 minutes or a minute and 45 with video. Okay, you do hear him. Thank you, Lacey. Yeah, he does sound weird, doesn't he? Okay, so you're hearing it. Great. That's wonderful. I assume it's loud enough. It's bouncing the meter pretty close to the clip limit. So anyway, Phil just talked about body image and self-image. What? What are we talking about there? What is your body image? You know what your body image is? Yeah, I sped him up, right? So Dr. Chip, I like that, Dr. Chip. Um, body image really is your appearance. How you look. When you look at yourself in a mirror, when other people look at you, do they see someone who is well put together, dressed appropriately, good hygiene, and healthy? Yes or no? If they do, great. And I'm not, when I say dressed appropriately, you could wear sweats and a t-shirt to the salon. I don't care. But if it's 10 degrees outside, 10 degrees Fahrenheit, which would be something like, what's Celsius? That'd be something like negative 10, somewhere on there. Then, yeah, you're not dressed appropriately. That's what I'm talking about. Are you wearing sandals to a nice restaurant appropriately? And are you healthy? Are your teeth clean? Is your hair washed? Do you smell like something nice? And don't get me started on Axe body spray. I'm not that young. Yeah, so body image is appearance. Why we had to start using the term body image instead of appearance, I don't know. Maybe Dr. Phil made it up. He makes up a lot of stuff. And what about self-image? What the hell is self-image? It's confidence. It's how you feel about yourself. Do you think you're well-dressed? Do you think you have good hygiene? Is what you feel internally, is that matching what people see externally? Because it should. You shouldn't see yourself too negatively or too positively. You should see yourself as someone who is imperfect and looking to get better, in my opinion. That's my sociology tip for the day. See yourself as someone who is imperfect and getting better, and who is doing their best every day. If you look like Tess Holliday, you're not doing your best. That's all there is to it. So yes, when your appearance starts to look unkept, then your confidence should go down. Unless, I should say, you should understand that you don't look as good as you should. You shouldn't let yourself get down on yourself, though. You should want yourself to get better. You should want to wear better clothes. Sorry, that's my sister. You should want to wear better clothes. You should want to take care of yourself. So this whole body image, self-image thing, appearance and confidence. I mean, come on, let's just call a spade a spade. Seriously.
And I am really, I hate that that's the case. And when you have an opportunity for someone that has been in a society where their body image is judged and their body image is something that they're put down about, then that's a terrible situation. And for someone to break out of that mold and to challenge that sort of judgment and get this kind of recognition, I think is a really great and positive thing.
Okay, well, let's talk about her recognition. Some people are loving her, and some people are calling a spade, as I just said. Forgive me for the repetition, but they're calling a spade. They're pointing out that the emperor has size 28 clothes. I kind of like that. But yeah, there's a problem here, folks. Houston, we have a problem, and it's Tess's butt. And that whole part about, being judged, I already went over that. We're judged by a myriad of things every day. You walk up to the grocery store. You're at the checkout counter. I use self-checkout, but a lot of people use the old way. You walk up to the counter, and the gal's, usually a woman, scanning your items. How does she look to you? Does she look happy? Does she look sad? Is her posture right? Is she throwing your items down the chute instead of just sliding them to the guy at the end of the counter, or at the end of the bagging tray? How is she acting? You're judging all of that. And for Dr. Phil to say no one should be judged is saying no one should walk around with their eyes and ears open. That we should all cocoon ourselves in a soundproof and vision-proof burqa. Not touch anyone That's ridiculous. This guy's supposed to be Mr. Self-Help, Mr. Positive. And he's talking about completely ruining millennia worth of social construction. It's ridiculous.
Now, does that mean that you want to have obesity from a health standpoint? Well, of course not. But let me tell you, that's not always a voluntary situation. I mean, there's a huge genetic component to this. There are powerful environmental impacts on this. So, I mean...
Yeah, this is one I really wanted to hit. Huge genetic. Environmental, yeah, okay, family eats too much. There's a lot of crappy food in the house. I'll go along with that. That's bad eating habits. That's a problem. That's environmental. But genetic. Let's talk about genetics. Where is that article? Here we are. Is our obesity in our genes? Contrary to popular belief, obesity is rarely caused by only our genes. According to the Harvard School of Public Health, the genetic factors linked to obesity comprise only a small part of the overall risk. However, the CDC notes that the variation in how people's weight responds to the same environment suggests that genes do play a role in the development of obesity. Sometimes even people who carry genes associated with obesity don't become overweight and vice versa. That's because, along with possible genetic factors, weight is also influenced by lifestyle factors. Even with a genetic predisposition, those who are overweight or obese may be able to change their weight slowly through altering lifestyle habits and with support from family and friends. If your weight remains unchanged, healthy lifestyle habits will still make you healthier, regardless of what the scale weighs in at. Well, there you go. Screw you and your genetics, Dr. Phil. Environment, yes. Genetics, no. Typical self-help crap.
This isn't glorifying something. It's just recognizing that you still have a life, even if you're having to face those challenges.
No one said anything like that. Piers Morgan certainly didn't say anything like that. He did say that she probably shouldn't be on the cover of a magazine that is looked at by, I don't know what their circulation is, but let's just throw this out there, millions of teens, at least, and young women, at least hundreds of thousands. That's pathetic to promote that. It's harmful. It's deadly. But no one's saying she can't have a life. Just don't force it on other people. Again, that's my point. Do I care that Tess Holliday weighs around 320 pounds? No, I don't care. What I care is that she's saying to everyone else, be like me and be happy. No, no, no. And I will fight that message every step I can. Actually, Tina, I've never had a problem with your spelling. In fact, you just... Let me look at this right here. Let me take a break for a second. Tina Nielsen, by the way, sorry for any misspelling. My English spelling sometimes has a lot to wish for. Tina, you spelled a lot as 2 words, which is perfect English. A lot, not a lot, a lot. You can't begin to imagine how many Americans who write at all, because writing is pretty much a lost art in America now that people just text and, you know, with their thumbs, and it's all smushed together with U for you and 8 for ATE. But you spelled a lot correctly. A space LOT. So many Americans spell it as one word. In fact, one of my favorite Simpsons episodes was where Sideshow Bob met his brother. And his brother was a very, very accomplished engineer and architect. And he was working on a big building project in Springfield. And the brother was played by the guy who played the brother on the show Frasier. I'm getting my actors' names lost in the back of my lizard brain right now. So yeah, they played brothers on the show Frasier, which I'm sure many of you have seen. And then they played brothers in The Simpsons. Now, Sideshow Bob was, you know, a sideshow freak, basically. And his brother was a very accomplished professional. But his brother was complaining about how horrible it was to work around all of these lowlifes, all these low-life construction workers. And the line that he said that has stuck with me forever is, I can even hear them say a lot as one word. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Am I saying all construction workers are like that? No. There are a lot of people who are fairly well advanced in their education who spell a lot incorrectly because they don't read enough. But still, that's stuck with me. That's stuck with me. David Hyde Pierce. Thank you, Picasso Knows. Thank you. The Sideshow Bob was Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer. Yay! I got one. Picasso Knows comes through. That's 200 cattle bucks for Picasso Knows. But anyway, as I was saying, no one says, I almost said Whitney, no one says Tess can't have a life. I just don't want it forced on everybody else. Not her lifestyle. Not her lifestyle.
You have to define what you mean by okay. When you say, is it okay? He's afraid they're sending a message that it is okay. It is okay.
No. No, it's not okay. It's the opposite of okay. It's bad. It's horrible. It's sending the wrong message. As Pierce said in his tweet, this cover is just as harmful as a cover with a size 0 model on it. Like that first Cosmo cover I showed you, the one from July of 1776, or July of 1976, 17. That's how old I am. I saw the very first glossy magazine printed on Independence Day. No, it's not okay. What the hell, Phil?
You know, she is still a quality human being. She is still someone that just because she is carrying more tissue on her body doesn't mean that she's not okay.
That is the definition of not okay. Extra tissue, very, very polite. Very polite way of saying rolls and rolls of fat. Fat is tissue. Phil's not incorrect here. He's definitely on point. Skin tissue, fat tissue, muscle tissue, bone tissue, and then variants thereof, like tendons and ligaments. Those are variations on skin, but skin and muscle. But yeah, Phil, come on. Extra tissue. Do you know how much extra skin she has because of all that fat? And remember, the skin is the largest organ of your body. The skin is one of your organs. And hers, there's way too much, Phil. There's too much of everything. Except discipline and the desire to better oneself. That's what's missing from Tess Holliday's life. And she's trying to get all the people who look at that cover to feel the same way. Blubber. Ha ha! Ha ha! Oh, you have family living in the U.S., Tina. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, at least I hope it's wonderful. I mean, you know, it's great to have relatives you can visit in other places. All my relatives live in the U.S. I had some exes who lived in Newfoundland. I visited there once for a couple weeks. In the summer, of course. You don't go to Newfoundland in the winter. You do not. Very nice place in the summer. Beautiful people, too. Really nice people. Except for my in-laws. But that's another story.
If what he's saying is that she is at higher risk for certain elements of health challenges in terms of hypertension or heart disease or type 2 diabetes, then yes, she is at higher risk for that than if she was at an ideal body weight.
Certain elements of health, how did he say, health risks? No. She is seriously medically unfit. I did a little research here. I found a good BMI calculator. Tess is 5'5", according to her, 286 pounds. Put that into the BMI calculator, and you get a score of, whoops, I can't highlight that. You get a score of 48. Right up here where that cross is. The top of the scale is 50. Now, BMI can go higher than 50. You shouldn't, but it can. But this is in the this is in the highest risk of disease, of unhealthy living right here. This kind of, what is that, magenta, rose, dusty rose, and you see down here at the bottom too. It's not just overweight. It shows underweight too. So yes, it's a problem. And here's obese in this slightly darker yellow, and here it is underweight right here, and then here's healthy in the yellow. I'm sorry. Here's unhealthy in the yellow. That's just slightly overweight and underweight right there, just slightly. And here's healthy, right in here, the nice green. You can see there's a range, and as you get older, the weight increases. As you get older, your BMI allows for a higher percentage of fat because your metabolism slows down. Your body's going to lose muscle mass. It's going to probably put on some adipose tissue, some extra tissue. Thank you, Dr. Phil. So your BMI range increases as you get older. And once I'm 100, I'll be in the perfect range. Texas. Tina, I have lived in Texas twice. I lived in San Antonio for a few years back in the 80s, and I loved it. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. And my wife and I lived in Dallas for 11 years. I've been to most of the major cities in Texas. I've been to Austin, been to Houston, Amarillo, and Wichita Falls. I haven't been out. I've been west to Midland, Odessa. I was there for a week for an air show. But other than that, I haven't seen a lot more. Oh, El Paso. I've been to El Paso too. So there we go. So yeah, so there's Tess, right up there, folks, right up there. We'll get into a little more of that chart in a bit.
If what he is saying is that this says, let's pay attention to her, let's applaud her, and that's wrong to do, then yes, that is fat shaming, and he shouldn't do that.
Fat shaming. Dr. Phil believes in fat shaming. For Piers Morgan to state that it is unhealthy to glamorize someone with a 48 BMI, just like it's unhealthy to glamorize someone who's a size 0. Dr. Phil thinks that's fine. And if you dare say anything against it, you're fat shaming. Screw you, Dr. Phil. Screw you. All right, I skipped a spot here. Let's see. No, I already did that. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That was loud, wasn't it? I did not expect that to play. Let me crank that down. I hope none of you are wearing headphones because I probably just deafened you for life. I do apologize. And again, I lost all my formatting during the crash, so I did write down the timestamp I want to go to on this video. This is Steven Crowder, Louder with Crowder. If you don't watch him, you should. And if you aren't a member of Mug Club, you should be. It is excellent, just outstanding programming. And if you subscribe to Crowder, you also get the entire CRTV lineup. CRTV stands for Conservative Review. It has a number of really, really awesome people on it. If you've seen the recent Ocasio-Cortez fake interview with Allie Stuckey. If you've seen that interview where the Allie Stuckey put in the comments inside of Ocasio-Cortez's answer to make Ocasio-Cortez look even dumber than she really is. If you've seen that, you should subscribe to CRTV because Allie Stuckey is on CRTV. Her show's been on there for some time now, and she does that bit where she interjects her own comments into previous interviews every so often, and they're all hilarious. They're all hilarious. And also, if you've heard of Mark Levin, who is a constitutional scholar and a brilliant legal mind and political commentator, he's on there too. Okay, enough of an ad. Also, you get a really cool Louder with Crowder mug if you subscribe through Crowder. You can subscribe through any of those shows, but if you subscribe through Crowder, you get a mug. Go to mugclub.com, mugclub.com. I'll put that in the description. Mug Club. Okay, so let me find the timestamp for Crowder 356. Okay, let me forward this. So glad I wrote these down. Every now and then I think ahead. Every now and then. Now this is Crowder responding to some darn it. Okay, let me mute this. This is the ad for CRTV. But I'm not going to make you listen to it. Okay, so Crowder is doing a response to a BuzzFeed video that came out last year about overweight models overweight models trying on clothes that they say are unconventional, that were not designed to be flattering, etc., to fat women. In other words, they're just doing what anyone should do, and that's wear what they want to wear. And again, plus-size people, obese people, morbidly obese people, they should have clothing lines too. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but as I've said previously, I believe that any of the sizes above size 14 should, or 16, should only last for 6 months, and then they should fall apart because you should have lost that weight by then. I just heard that my headset is going out. If this headset runs out of battery, I will have to go to my headphones, which means the hat gets lost. Ray, I'm sorry, I know that will affect you the most, but these things happen in live TV, live TV podcast. So this is Crowder responding to that video, and here's a particular point that he's making that I thought was relevant to today's discussion. Now, pretty well goes in line with what we've been saying up till now, doesn't it? You can see why I picked that clip. It's not about Tess Holliday's Cosmo cover specifically, but it's certainly about all the reaction that people have been giving to those who feel that the cover is an unhealthy signal to young women. So, like we said before, children, defensive, spiteful, mean-spirited, and totally wrapped up in themselves. As he said, it's the fat acceptance, the fat shaming that hurts them the most, as opposed to the fact that they're killing themselves. Okay, so we're done with Crowder. So, here is Tess Holliday's reaction to, oh gosh, I lost it. Where is this? Oh, darn it. Oh, here it is. Thank God. Okay, I thought I'd lost it. Let me go over this first. I got ahead of myself. This is an Instagram post by a gentleman who goes by Trip. As you can see, here's a picture of himself and his curvy wife on a nice beach. I think he's being mean to her by, I'm going to have to turn off these headphones. No, they're still going. Yeah, I think he's being mean to her by making her stand downslope on the beach. And as you can see, the surf has actually eroded the sand underneath her feet somewhat, so she's having to stand on tiptoes just to keep from falling over. But this is an attractive woman. This is a woman with curves. who's attractive. And she's not wearing any makeup, except maybe a little mascara, like someone said earlier. Maybe a little mascara. That's it. Now, look at this post. I love this woman and her curvy body. As a teenager, I was often teased by my friends for my attraction to girls on the thicker side, ones who were shorter and curvier, girls that the average basic bro might refer to as chubby or even fat. Then I became a man and started to educate myself on issues such as feminism and how the media marginalizes women by portraying a very narrow and very specific standard of beauty, thin, tall, lean. I realized how many men have bought into that lie. For me, there is nothing sexier than this woman right here. Thick thighs, big booty, cute little side roll, etc. Her shape and size won't be the one featured on the cover of Cosmo. Little did you know. But it's the one featured in my life and in my heart. There's nothing sexier to me than a woman who is both curvy and confident. This gorgeous girl I married fills out every inch of her jeans and is still the most beautiful one in the room. Guys, rethink what society has told you that you should desire. Okay, now, let's stop there for a second. Everybody has their own desire. Everybody has their own standard of beauty. And just because you don't... oh gosh, Lacey, you didn't... Oh, okay, I'll play the video back again. That's my fault. That's my fault because I turned the video down twice. I'm sorry. I will get back to this. I will get back to this. Let me bring the desktop audio up, and I'll go back to Crowder. I do apologize. It was blasting in my ear, and I overreacted. That was my fault. Okay, here we go. I promise I'll watch the meter this time.
We're sitting here today going like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that we're expected to wear clothes that are suitable.
Each day is going to be very different. One day I'll probably be loving life, and the next day I'll probably be hating it. So basically I'll be like my 13-year-old self.
Exactly! Straight from the horse's or hippopotamus's mouth. Hippopotamus's mouth. I can't get
hippos.
that. You can't. Hippos.
That's why they came up with hippo.
Straight from the hungry hippo's mouth. Here's they admit. Third wave feminism, intersectional feminists, are as mature as a 13-year-old. They cannot be expected to exceed the maturity of a 13-year-old. And here's, just like Barbara Streisand, I don't know if you've seen recently, she's been blaming Donald Trump for gaining weight because he makes her sad, so she's eating pancakes and getting fat. Seems like something a 13-year-old would say. It's very stupid. It's not very adult to act that way. Just like a girl saying, the entire will react to me and validate me, and if they validate me in the exact way that I want to be it depends entirely on how validated. I'll either be fine or throw a temper tantrum like I'm the kid from Hook.
I have always...
Okay. There we go. Oops. Okay, let me stop before I finish the Instagram post here, because I want to come back around to what Lacey's saying. Lacey says, "Oh no, it's a quote unquote nice guy. Woohoo! That you like chubby girls. What a savior to women." Blah. I do agree to a point, Lacey. He is saying that he's a nice guy because he loves his wife the way she is. Yes, but isn't that true? Isn't it a good thing for a guy to not have an unrealistic body standard to go by when he's looking for a mate? He may be holding himself up a little too much, but still, taken in context, I applaud the guy because he isn't stuck in that Playboy, Penthouse, Cosmo cover, whatever, rut. He opened up his eyes and he realized that there's more to life than size 0 women. So yes, is he patting himself on the back a little too much? Maybe. I will not deny you that opinion, but I think he's providing a positive message both to men and to women, because here it comes right here. A real woman is not a porn star or a bikini mannequin or a movie character. She's real. She has beautiful stretch marks on her hips and cute little dimples on her booty. Here's the point I want to make. Girls, don't ever fool yourself by thinking you have to fit a certain mold to be loved and appreciated. There is a guy out there who is going to celebrate you for exactly who you are, someone who will love you like I love my Sarah. There you go. Okay, I just lost my headphones. I think I have another pair. I'm going to mute my mic. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, let me just link this up. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Oh, Lacey, that maybe that's my past SJW coming through. Yes, that is possible, but again, you are completely entitled to your opinion. I am not trying to denigrate it at all. I'm just saying that I maybe see it in a different way, but I totally respect your view on it. Totally respect it. Got my hearing back. And again, thank you all for your patience. I appreciate it. I hate losing the hat. I'm sorry. It's who I am. I always wear a hat. Always. Okay, so there's the tweet or the Instagram post. Okay, so now we've got context. Now, what did Tess Holliday, remember, this is July 30th of last year. What did Tess Holliday post in response to this? Do you think she had a positive comment or a negative comment? I'll give you one guess. This is a comment on someone called hashtag Trishy at Soul Thought. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, thought stands for that hottie over there. So fine, you look at that, look at yourself that way if you want to. Okay, so here we go. Guys like curvy women, 16,667 faves, national news. This guy Tripp, he and his wife did wind up on several morning shows. And I think rightfully so. That was a beautiful message. Curvy woman likes herself. 12 faves, 48 people in your mentions talking about diabetes. No one talks about diabetes to curvy women. They come on to them. If you're obese or morbidly obese, then people are going to talk about diabetes because you're on your road. Excuse me, you're on your way to that. You are on the road to type 2 diabetes, sweetheart. It's coming. So what does Tess respond to this? How does she respond to this? Right here. Tess Holliday. 100, 100, 100. 100. 4 100s. So 400%. This is so real. Stop giving men trophies for doing the bare minimum. Bare. B-A-R-E. Yes, that's correct. Bare minimum. Also, I'm not here for someone who says transphobic things. Hashtag F your beauty standards. Hashtag trans women are women. Okay, what is that last part about? About 5 or 6 years ago, Tripp put in an Instagram post, or a tweet, I don't remember right now, that as far as he's concerned, you can't become a woman if you're a man. That's all he said. He said, women are women, men are men. That doesn't change. He's not saying you can't be trans. He's not saying he has no respect for trans people. He's just saying, as far as he's concerned, biology is biology. You may feel differently, you may dress differently, but your biology remains the same. That is not an uncommon perception. So we got a couple comments here. I want to read this one. Cheap chic resale. That's my sister. That is my sister and my niece. Cheap chic resale. They dress wonderfully for next to $0. They know how to shop the resale stores. Boy, are they good at it. I'm terrible. I pay retail for everything. I probably would wind up paying retail for a car. That's how bad I am at it. I went to Mexico once. Went to buy a straw hat. Started haggling, and I can speak Spanish enough anyway. I started haggling in Spanish. The initial price was $3. I tried to go to $2. I wound up paying $4. I got out haggled. I got marked up at a Mexican sidewalk stall. That's how bad I am at negotiating. I need a lawyer everywhere I go when I have to pay for something. Lacey, I want to make it clear that is not at all what I was upset about. That's just Tess. I was questioning his intentions with the post, not the post itself. He deserved attention if he was being sincere. Yes, okay, we're on the same page. We're absolutely on the same page. And I do believe he was being completely sincere. If you want to search around, the link to this Instagram, all of these Instagrams will be in the description. If you want to search around and see if you can find one of his daytime show appearances with his wife, I'm sure that'll give you an even better idea of where he's coming from, if you so desire. I'm taking him at his best. I'm giving him the best light because I'm a guy, and I trust other guys that are nice to their women. When I say their women, I mean the women around them. I don't mean that in a pejoratively possessive sense. Please don't get me wrong. I am not that type of person. But he's being respectful, and I think that's where he's coming from. So, cheap chic resale. Talking to Tess. You used to inspire me, and I thought you were such a beautiful person inside and out. But now that I've seen the true colors and the fact that you are petty enough to go through someone's old info just to tear them down on social media is truly pathetic. And that's what she had to do. Tess had to go through years of posts to find one where he was, all right, transphobic. Let's just say, let me give her the best possible outcome here, that he was transphobic. Okay, still loves his wife. He was not looking for a trophy/applause for his post. The part that I love the most is when he mentioned men have bought into the lie that the standard of beauty equals thin. Did you miss that part? That's the crucial part of the message. Society has brainwashed us all into thinking beauty equals thin. He deserves an applause just for that statement alone. Again, people are going against Tess. They're not buying into her fat chic, or excuse me, morbidly obese chic crap all the way. And especially for someone who, as she says here, I mean, I'm going to take her at her word. You used to inspire me, and I thought you were such a beautiful person inside and out. No, these people are not beautiful inside and out. Again, Tess has a beautiful face, especially with the right makeup. Don't get me wrong, but she doesn't have a beautiful body, in my opinion. In my opinion, she doesn't, and she's obviously not a beautiful person inside. She's mean, petty, self-interested, and spiteful. That's not a beautiful person on the inside. She has a lot of work to do. She's young. She can grow up. When I was that age, man, I had a lot wrong with me. I had a lot going wrong. Partially because I didn't have enough drugs in my system, to be perfectly honest. But I'm not saying Tess can't become a better person. But right now she's being feted, or is it fated? F-E-T-E-D, fated, for being a douche. I don't appreciate that. So there's that comment. Let's see, there's the Dr. Phil. There's obesity. Oh yeah, so here is a post from the Inquisitor. Let's see, I missed it. Oh yeah, okay. Above the line here is the Piers Morgan Instagram post, and some of the comments like the one I read, so I won't need to repeat that. Here's the gist of the article. Yet what Morgan, his followers, and fellow critics do not take into account, is that body positivity is about finding happiness in the body that you actually have. Their comments veer into body shaming because Holliday has been open and very clear about the fact that she is happy in her own skin and proud of the body she is in. Well, that's the problem. How can you be proud of a body that is at least 120 pounds over what you were before you had a child? And at this weight right now, if Tess gets pregnant again, which I doubt since she's a model, and, you know, got to watch that figure. If she gets pregnant again, the chances of her having a successful and healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby are severely knocked down by her weight. I almost said slimmed down, but that would have been a bit too obvious. But the odds are very much stacked against her when it comes to having a normal obstetric outcome. So, what is she thinking? She also hopes that it helps other people feel better and unashamed of their own bodies by seeing one proudly showcased, as obesity and body positivity issues plague both Britain and the United States. Talk about mixed messages. She starts off saying she hopes that it helps people feel better and unashamed of their own bodies. And then she says there's an obesity issue, but also a body positivity issue. Well, which is it? Because you can't have both. Unless you're talking about old school body positivity, like in my Whitney Thor professional victim video, where there's the amputee and the acid attack survivor. Those people have the right to have body positive issues, in my humble opinion. They have had things happen to them outside of their own control that have caused them to lose a part of their body. The woman is acid attack victim. Her face is scarred, heavily scarred on one side. I think she's still attractive, though. And the guy lost a leg below the knee. Or no, above the knee, actually, I believe. But they both get around, and I think they're happy with themselves. I really do. But Whitney is portraying herself as someone with a body positivity issue that needs to be respected because she's morbidly obese. So is Tess. That's a load of hooey. Horse hockey. I said horse hockey and hooey at the same time. Comes out hooey. I do try not to curse on these videos. So yeah, which is it? Body positivity or obesity? Come on. Here's a comment from Tess's husband, who is quite noticeably absent in all of this. Tess, my hand is shaking. Tess, who recently started working out with personal trainer Massey Arias. Why is she working out with a personal trainer if she's perfect the way she is? I don't understand. Whitney had a personal trainer and he fired her because she wouldn't stop overeating. You got to watch that video. Research. You know, I'll try to link it. I think I linked it in one of my other videos, but I'll do my best. What did I do with my pen? I'll do my best to link it in this one too. Whitney fitness coach. Because he, like I said, he fired her. He just flat out fired her. So let's see how Tess is doing. Wouldn't you love to have the money to have a personal trainer? If you do have a personal trainer and you're not overly rich, please let me know how it's done. Put it in the comment section after the video posts. I would love to know how to do it. I could really use some exercises that take into account my body's limitations. So if that's able to be done. Oh, hey, Aunt Kitty. Hey. It is very nice to see you. I totally remember you. Hope you're feeling much better. I want to say hello. By the way, you're a cute patootie. That is so kind of you, Aunt Kitty hashtag. That is so kind of you. I promise not to internalize that message and become a roaring egomaniac because of it. But that is really nice of you to say. That made me blush, actually. It made me blush. Let's see if I can read now that all the blood has gone to my cheeks. Working out with personal trainer Massey Arias has always maintained she leads a healthy lifestyle, with her husband Nick Holliday previously telling Cover Media that the flame-haired star suffers no health problems. Here's a quote. The thing is, they don't believe her. They're like, but what about your health? Do you have high blood pressure? No. Do you have diabetes? No. And they're like, but you're going to get heart disease. Well, maybe, but my dad's got heart disease and he weighs like 100 pounds, Nick ranted. Rant unsuccessful, Nick. Your dad's health has nothing to do with your wife's health. Zero. The things that you just listed, high blood pressure, type 2, he just said diabetes, but type 2 diabetes. Yeah. And heart disease. She's already got heart disease, Nick. Her body is pumping through thousands and thousands of extra miles of blood vessels just to provide oxygen to her fat tissue and her extra skin. You would not believe how many miles of blood vessels you have in your body. It's insane. As a normal person, a morbidly obese person, triple it. So she's got heart disease already. Her heart's working harder than it has to. It's a ticking time bomb. And all these other things, high blood pressure, maybe not yet. Diabetes, maybe not yet, but it's coming. She's only, let's see, what was she born in 95? So she's 33. Wait a minute. Do I have that still? No, I think she was born in 95 or 96. So that would actually that would put her in her 20s, wouldn't it? So let's say she's between 25 and 30. Just off the top of my head. That doesn't mean that she's developed all these comorbidities yet, but they're coming. They are coming, Nick. If you want your wife to die before she's 60 and leave your child alone with you, then just keep her on that road, Nick. Keep her going. Rant all you want about how healthy she is, and then wait for the doctor bills to start pouring in. Okay, Lacey. Okay, thank you for doing the math for me. I married a financial analyst. She does all the arithmetic in the house. We have a very dear friend who is going to get his PhD ultimately in math. He's been accepted to the master's program at Loyola University in Chicago right now, and he likes to say, people get it wrong. Math is not 2 plus 2. That's arithmetic. Math is theoretical stuff. Okay, I got you. I got you. So, if you want to win a bar bet, try to get someone to tell you the difference between arithmetic and math. You should get a free drink out of it. '23rd birthday in December. Ah, thank you, Lacey. Thank you. Gotcha. She could be 23. Right, right. Oh, my mom was born in December. That didn't turn out to be a lucky month for her, but I hope you live to a ripe old age and celebrate a lot of Decembers. So there's Nick for you. Okay, I said we'd get back to the BMI. So this is Whitney's. I did the calculation based on the figures that she's given us. We saw that chart before, so let me scroll down. A calculation of 5'5" and 286 pounds. So her BMI is 48. Exactly 47.6 kilograms per square meter. Health aspects. Your weight is at an extremely high level. In our view, it can cause, that's a nice little wiggle word right there, or phrase. In our view, it can cause serious health problems. By classification of the World Health Organization, you are obese. Now, there's a new index called the Smart Body Mass Index, or SBMI. And her SBMI is 68 out of 70. 70 is the top. The absolute top. Thank you, Tina. I'm so sorry I kept you up so late, but again, it's going to be posted. We still got a ways to go, to be honest, but it'll be posted. She's 33. Thank you, Lacey. Wow, you guys are so great. You're doing all the math for me. Thanks for looking that up, Lacey. So that's I'd say that's 500 cattle bucks to you for doing all that work. Thank you so much. Ooh, excellent. Using the @ that. Thank you. That's how to get a hold of me. Use the @ use @AHNC all hat no cattle. That will get my attention. Excellent. Beautifully done, Lacey. And again, good night, Tina. 68 points out of 70. So she's 2 points away from being off the chart for the SBMI. Oh, no, don't apologize. Don't apologize. That's exactly what you needed to do. I'm really happy you did that. It was probably pure luck that I noticed it right away. No apologies at all. That's exactly what needs to be done. You figured it out for me. I should have said that earlier, but I didn't consider it. Weight stability. Your SBMI will decrease by about 1 point every 3 years if you manage to keep your 286 pounds stable. This is due to the fact that the optimal, i.e. the healthiest BMI range increases with age, thus reaching higher BMI values. Like I said, if I live to be 100, I'll have a good BMI and SBMI. Things that you may want to discuss with your doctor. Important factors influencing the health: blood pressure, hypertension, blood sugar, diabetes, cholesterol, respiratory sleep disorders. I have to wear a CPAP. My wife, when she was at her heaviest, went to a sleep study after I begged her to do so for a very long time. And it turned out she stopped breathing so many times that they stopped the sleep study test after an hour. That's how bad it was. She wears a CPAP now and she sleeps great. It's one of the big things about being obese. Your respiratory rate is decreased as you fall asleep, and the weight screws with your airway, and you have to have positive pressure to keep it open. So as you gain weight, you sleep less because you keep waking up because you're not breathing. When you sleep less, you know what happens? You gain weight. A vicious cycle. So again, get help. If you wake up a lot, or if you wake up with a really dry mouth often, you're breathing through your mouth, and you're probably stopping breathing, and you need to have that looked at. And the last one here on this list, locomotor systems, joints, muscles, mobility. We've talked about that. Possible measures. Set a weight target. Nutritional. Physical activity, exercise. Psychological, coaching, therapy, medicaments. Never seen that word before. And surgery. These are all completely doable. Surgery is the last step, the last ditch resort. So you got to watch that. That's if you get to the point where you need surgery, I pray for you, and I hope you're able to get it. I don't know how often insurance covers gastric bypass. It's a very expensive procedure, I'm sure, and I hope your insurance covers it. So that's Tess's BMI. Let's look at her SBMI. As we said, it was 68. Right here. 60 to 70 to 70, extreme obesity, very high, and the red zone right there. That's where Tess is at, right there. To the left of the screen, under FAC, that red triangle. That's where she's at. What about a healthy person? This was canned. I didn't make this up. This was a option that was available in the drop-down menu here. There's an example of slim young man and examples of a slim young woman. Since we're talking about Tess, I chose a slim young woman. You see here, this is what the SBMI chart of a woman at 20 years of age at a height of 5'3" and a weight of 104 pounds looks like. Below you can read the detailed report on BMI and the health of that person. So she has a BMI of 18. And again, that's for 20 years old, 5'3", 104 pounds. As you can see though, that is right on the lower edge of the healthy spectrum. So she could weigh another, let me see, what is this? This is, oh, that's the BMI. So she could have another 4 or 5 points in her BMI and be easily still in the green there. I think 104 pounds, as it says here, is pretty low. And there is, it says right here, your weight is at a marginally lower level. In our view, it should still be fine for your health. By classification of the WHO, you are underweight, at least underweight. I think that's too low, as Lacey just said. That's too low. Being slim due to fitness is good for your health. In contrast, being slim or losing weight due to nicotine or a reduced appetite, poor digestion, or a serious health disease would be a serious disease, would be a bad sign. I smoke cigars, but they don't depress my appetite, unfortunately, which is actually good for me in a sense because I can't smoke during the cold weather months. I can only smoke when it's nice out because I don't smoke in the house and I don't smoke in my car. I have too much respect for them. So normally that reduces your appetite. Ray, good for you, Ray. 5'11", 190 pounds, 25. That's an awesome BMI. That's an awesome BMI. Good for you. You nailed it. You nailed it. 5'11", too, 190. That's really good shape. Most people 5'11" would be hitting 200 easy. So the smart BMI of this person is 31 out of 70. Weight stability can be optimal, but gaining weight by building up muscle mass could be even better. So they are acknowledging how low in the range she is. SBI, again, she's barely healthy. This one's nice. I like this nutrition. Eat a variety of foods that you like, optimally including 5 servings of fruit and or vegetables a day. Avoid eating too sweet, too fat, and too much. In my personal lay opinion, that's excellent nutritional advice. And here it says, do physical exercise at least for a half hour daily at moderate to vigorous intensity. My wife and I exercise for an hour, 3 days a week. That's all we can fit into our busy retired schedules right now. And to be honest, I'm wasted after every one of our sessions. I can barely move the day afterwards. It was a struggle for me to get up yesterday after class and come in here and start finishing my research for this video. It was a struggle, and I'm happy for that. I'm putting on muscle mass. My weight is staying the same right now, but I feel better, and I think my waist is slimming down too. I'm on the next to last notch on my belt. It's a size 40 belt, so I think things are coming along nicely. So, what about my score? Where am I at? I mean, I'm talking about Tess all this time. I think I should be fair and point the numbers at myself, not seem like I'm completely judging her and not being open to having my numbers looked at. And here I am. I'm in the moderate health risk zone. You can see the square, the cross right above the green line. And here's my calculation. I hate when that happens. 5'9" and 190 pounds. Right now I'm fluctuating between 191 and 188. So I went with 190 as a good median. My BMI is 28.1. And right here, my weight is at a marginally elevated level. It should be fine for your health. By classification of the WHO, you are overweight. Now, if you've seen my video on Riley Dennis and her insane views on exercise and your ability to lose weight because of it, you will know that there was a study done by, I believe, UCLA Medicine, which found that overweight people have a higher, a lower mortality risk than healthy people. I don't know why. I haven't seen another study to back that up, so I can't say it's correct. But these are the numbers they came up with. Now, if you're obese or morbidly obese, forget it. You're off the table. Health is not in your diagnosis. But for some reason, overweight people, according to their BMI, and I believe they use BMI index, which again is not great, but it's all we have right now for a standard tool. But if you're overweight, according to the BMI, you actually live longer than people who are at a healthy weight or people who are underweight. I still want to lose another 5 or 10 pounds. Actually, I want to lose another 10 pounds, but you'll love what this says right here. So my SBMI is 40 out of 70. I have a marginal risk of gaining weight. Now here we go. We talked about your SBMI will decrease by about 1 point within 10 years if you manage to keep your 190 pounds stable. So like I say, if I live to be 100, I'll be in the healthy range. Now I had put in there that I had there's a self-survey associated with this. I'm not going to show all of it because it asks your age, and I don't want to give you my exact age. It's not because I'm vain. It's just because the more people know about me, the easier it is to dox me. And if someone knows my exact age and date of birth, it's easier to get my information. So I'm being as protective of myself as I can. That's why I'm on a VPN right now. Lacey, I saw that once you're over 70, it's smart to gain some weight because it could help you live longer. I hadn't seen that, but that makes perfect sense, especially if you can gain some muscle mass. But I can kind of see where that's going just off the top of my head, because if you have extra weight, then if you get sick, your body has something to fall back on, and you are at a greater risk of illness, by whether pneumonia or flu or cold, an ankle injury that would keep you immobile for a while, something like that. You're at a greater risk for that as you get older. So I can see why having a few extra pounds on would actually be a healthy thing. I'm really glad you brought that up. And yes, oh yeah, overweight. I understand that completely. It's, like you said, some weight. No one wants to be obese, especially, I tell you, you get obese at 70, you may not make it to 75. And that, you know, that's what we expect from people now. We expect people to live to 75. Just think about how 40 years ago, if you made it to 70, you were considered quite lucky. Oh, well, okay, Lacey, thank you. Thank you for covering that. I just took a flyer, you know, so I'm glad I was at least not completely off base. So that's, oh yeah, I wanted to finish this right here. Sorry, I lost track of myself. Did it again. So my target weight of 180 pounds. Losing weight is fine, but there is good news. 6 pounds will be sufficient to reach a target weight of 184 pounds in your optimal weight range. Wow. See, I didn't know that. There I am. I keep talking about getting help, learning what you need to do, and I was just basing 180 on a flyer. I really had no concept of what would be a healthy weight for myself. I just thought with the kind of paunch that I'm carrying right now, another 10 pounds would be worthwhile. But this says I could go to 184 and still be healthy. Now, is this the sole authority on what is healthy? I don't think so. This is smartbmicalculator.com, and the link will be in the description. You can play with it if you like. But that's kind of nice to know. That I think losing 6 pounds is much more available to me than losing 10, the way things are going. So that actually made me feel good when I read that. That helped. Forgive me, but it took a weight off my shoulders. There, I said it. I said it. Grown into your coffee. I said it. We're on the home stretch. A couple things to watch here. And again, I lost all my formatting. This is a gentleman by the name of Matt Walsh. I'm going to start it and then pause it real quick so I can advance the frame right here. Matt Walsh is a commentator on the Daily Wire. Another place, dailywire.com. Go to it. $10 a month or $99 a year. You get. Oh, I don't have it in front of me. It's in the washer. I mean, it's in the drying rack. Hello, Piper. Stay off the keyboard. Good kitty. You get a hot cold tumbler like a Yeti. It's small. It holds the same amount, just about, but it's smaller. It's easier to handle, and it has a rubber base. Really cool to use. And it's inscribed on it, not inscribed, printed on it is leftist tears, hot or cold. And again, I'm not liberal. Not liberal. I have some liberal bend in my body. So does my wife. We have great friends who are liberals. It's leftists. That's what we're talking about. You know, the alt-left, like Antifa and Ocasio-Cortez, the socialists. That's leftists. Just like you got alt-right, nationalists, ethno-nationalists. No way. Neither of those. No way. Conservative, liberal, fine. Stay in there. You can lose up. Ray, you're in Phoenix, right? So, you know, losing water weight for you is a slam dunk. You just have to go outside and walk around the block. Okay, so Matt Walsh is a commentator. He is dry. I'll tell you right now, he is pretty dry. So I'm not going to play a lot of him, but I do want you to hear what he has to say on the body positivity movement, because I think he makes a good point. And this was one of the things that drove me to do this video. This one and the Shapiro video that I'll get to right after this. So Matt Walsh is at 10:44.
So I was just reading a really moving...
Was that too loud? Yeah, that was too loud. I'll back it off. It should be right about there.
negative personal features have their own lobbying groups and are the subject of marketing campaigns telling us to accept and celebrate it. For instance, one of my many personal flaws is that I have a bad temper, okay? So I'm telling you a lot about it. I mean, I'm obese, I have a bad temper. For instance, you know, so, but as someone with a bad temper, and I know it shocks you to learn that about me, I know that I need to change that. That's a flaw that I have. I need to work on it. And nobody in society would tell me otherwise, though. That's the difference. There isn't any bad temper acceptance movement. They're not going to put me on the cover of a magazine.
Wrong spot. I went to 1144, not 1044.
If you're massively overweight, massively underweight, you shouldn't try to accept it. You shouldn't try to fool yourself into believing that it's a positive thing. You shouldn't hate yourself either. You shouldn't despair over it. People shouldn't make fun of you for it or mock you, obviously. But you should take it as a challenge to overcome, a change to make. That's all. What's wrong with that? We really need to get past this idea that we as individuals should celebrate and love everything about ourselves simply because it is ourselves. The problem is that philosophy leaves no room for improvement. It leaves no room for honest self-assessment. It will prevent you from becoming a better, healthier person, because any positive personal change has to always begin by looking at yourself and saying, this aspect of myself isn't ideal. I want to change it. We all have those negative facets of ourselves. The only difference is that only certain negative personal features have their own lobbying groups and are the subject of marketing campaigns telling us to accept and celebrate it.
There we go. I had started at the end instead of the beginning. My apologies. So yeah, there's Matt Walsh. And like I said, he's dry. He's dry, you could tell. But he reinforces the point that we were making earlier. The person you want to be is the person in the future. Accept yourself as a person with flaws. Just because there's a movement out there telling you that you can weigh 300 pounds and be happy doesn't mean you should be. Those people do not have your best interests at heart. They do not have your heart in heart. They have heart disease in their heart. So, Ben Shapiro. I'll finish up with this. Ben Shapiro is the head commentator on the Daily Wire. If you haven't heard of him, if you want to take a look at the podcast, go to dailywire.com. He's there with Matt Walsh, Andrew Klavan, and Michael Knowles, two of whom my wife and I have met. And he has a really interesting take on the conservative viewpoint. He is a semi-Trumper. As he likes to say, he calls balls and strikes. When Trump throws a strike, he calls it. When Trump throws a ball, he calls it. And when Trump throws a wild pitch, he calls that. But if you want to get a good idea of where Ben's at politically and how you don't want to cross him if you ever want to debate him, look up Ben Shapiro. I'll put it in a link. I just reminded myself.